Nickel dimer in the lane, and it goes.
Yes, the basket counts.
Teague.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Here's Elliott. He will get it. Touchdown Dallas as Elliott fought for it and has his 6th of the year.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
It's a great screen for the screener. Jared Butler for 3.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio on this Friday, the weekend before Father's Day. Baylor gets another offensive line commitment in the class of 22. We're going to talk to him, Kaden Sieracki, in just a moment. Mark Cuban, is he trying to save face with Mavericks fans? And the U.S. Open, round 2, and some big names are right on the cut line or in trouble from making the cut. Jack, throw a little curveball at you. My last tweet that I put up, it should be a picture of the latest Baylor commit when he was like 10. See if you have that. He's in a baseball uniform. This is a picture on my Twitter timeline. His mother sent this to me, spoke with her on the phone for a little bit, and he's got football and sports. His mom was a gymnast. We all have lineage in his family when it comes to athletics. And she sent me a picture of the latest Baylor. I know there he is on the right.
Oh, I didn't notice him.
She sent that to me. That's Kaden Sieracki when he was in the Little League. He was obviously, is that the Cubs?
Little nothing.
He's on the Cubs right there? I can't tell if that's the Cubs or the...
Everyone else is in the Little League. He was in the league.
That looked like he could have been the coach.
Yeah.
And he's obviously... I got a great story about him. They're on their way to Florida for a family vacation, and how he's getting there compared to everybody else and why. We'll have that...
Are you sure those aren't all his kids?
Yeah, those are all his really younger brothers. Now, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. Emma's in studio with us. Again, she comes back. I don't know why every day, but she does. And also Hayden, who just basically lost me when I said, where is the U.S. Open on one of the flat screens? He goes, I don't like golf. Jack, of course,
Jack.
Who always has soccer.
That was Jack.
Yeah, come on. Don't peg that on Hayden. I'm the one who's not playing on golf.
Hayden is in second place right now.
Yeah, I know it. And Rob Bolton, by the way, I like, where's my team? He goes, just keep scrolling down. We put them in order. But there's some guys who are in trouble that maybe even the better teams with the best overall foursome might have somebody who's out.
I'm done.
Justin Rose.
Justin Rose. Yeah. Justin Weed, more like it.
It's a hell of a story. This Patrick Bland, who's leading the U.S. Open, I think he shot 500 today. We'll have that, and we'll have an update on the leaderboard. Everything brought to you by Cottonwood Creek. I was over there this morning to see Kenny Duron. He gave me a bunch of Cottonwood Creek golf caps. We'll give those away here momentarily, but we'll give you an update on all the big names as well, along with Richard Brand, I think it is, who's 500 par. Craig Smoak with us. Craig, 4 of what all over the commitments of the class of 22. Of course, they could do 6 or 8 offensive linemen and another big body, another a big grinder, and we don't know how he's going to translate into college, but it looks like they're starting to try to as much as they can, which they need to load up on offensive linemen.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they've been doing, and now here's number 4, and we've said it ad nauseum. We've talked about the O-line to death. I don't really feel like talking about, their issues there again because we've already done that, and they've made it clear. I mean, we've talked over and over about, hey, now can they afford any more offensive linemen in the transfer portal? And the answer was no as of last week. So really the only way you can go about doing it right now until we better know their scholarship situation is through recruiting. So I mean, it's not a surprise. They're going to try and get as many offensive linemen as they possibly can, and they're not done at 4. I think there's probably another 1 to 2 that'll be along the way as well. So Eric Mateos has come in, and he's got his hands in the dirt with these guys, and he's going to start, evaluating, or has been starting to evaluate and identifying guys along with Jeff Grimes and company, and let's just hope they actually hit on some guys. And this isn't a case of, like it was the last 3 years, 1 out of every 6 offensive linemen they had committed actually could be playing at a high level, because that's basically what it's turned into. And maybe I'm off. Maybe it's more like 1 in 5. But regardless, they've been much more missed than they've been hit. And the guys they have hit on, with the exception of maybe like a Connor Galvin, are just okay. They're not like, well above average or really good. They're fine. So, yeah, that's been a problematic spot, and hopefully you bring in some of these big dudes from the high school ranks and build up your depth and, allow yourself to have some guys that can play and not thrust freshmen into the fire over and over and over, because every year you're repeating the same process of not having enough talent or needing the young guys to contribute. Randy Clements, if you're a freshman offensive lineman, you had to be really good to play early on. You had to be really good.
Like
you had to
Spencer Drango.
You had to be like Spencer Drango.
Yeah.
Now you can be just anybody and play your very first year because they just need you to. So it's got to get back to the other way, where you're playing early because you're that good, not because we have to have you play that early. So hopefully this is them turning the corner a little bit in that regard.
And so they do get Kaden Sieracki. He's from the Woodlands High School, and he committed to Baylor last night. He's on vacation, or on his way on vacation. He'll join us here momentarily. Paul, College Football Playoff Committee had a kind of another press conference, so to speak. They will, apparently, this is Bob Bowlesby quote on the expansion, 4 people in the working group, which is the ones who kind of said, hey, we need to do this. We're in one place. 11 of us now are in that place. In other words, others that join them from other, conferences. Now we move to the presidents, and apparently the presidents are all meeting next week in Dallas. So that would be the next level of this, correct?
Yeah, and then once they get it through, and if one of the things I noticed in the press release today was it wasn't on possible future format. They're calling it the future format. I mean, so it's going to happen. The presidents are the last obstacle, and I don't think that'll be an obstacle, because now you can speak the language that was so hard to get through their heads before, is money. We all need it now. COVID killed us. So let's do money. Money. That's all they have to say to them, and they'll vote on it unanimously, probably. They
now will get solicitation feedback over the next few weeks and months with athletes, presidents, chancellors, athletic directors, coaches about the 12-team proposal. Bill Hancock, we have some important constituent groups that have not yet heard. We've not yet heard from, but we need to. This process will not conclude before September, when the season begins. Trying to figure out the size, the schedule, the details, the implementation date, and all of that. But it is, again, on the fast track.
Well, I mean, it is, but there's still complaints. I mean, the Pac-12's already come out and said that they want an automatic bid for their conference. Larry Scott came out today and said that. He said that they appreciate the conversations and look forward to more conversations, but they believe that all of the A5, the Autonomy 5 champions should get in. And right now you'd say, well, they all do. Well, not necessarily. You could still get left out. If your top team in your conference is just really lowly rated, that you don't have like a top 5 or top 10 team, then there's a chance that you could get left out. I've seen some scenarios where the Pac-12 still wouldn't have made it. So they're trying to ensure that they have a spot at the table every single year, and I don't blame them for that, but I hope that, petty little differences aren't what ultimately sidetracks this thing. I don't think that there will be enough of those to prevent the hundreds of millions of dollars that will be made and all the people in favor of it. But yeah, of course it's the Pac-12 too. Of course, if anybody had something to complain about, it would be those folks. So not a big deal, but just something to monitor.
But if I was, listen, I would want an automatic bid if I'm one of the conference
I would throw the line out in the water and see if it got a bite. But if nobody else wants that, then you're going to be alone. Yeah. Although I will say this,
you're not going to hear the SEC say, "Hey, we want an automatic."
But the Pac-12 often does the bidding of the Big Ten, and I said for years that the only way this thing expands is if the Big Ten gets left out. And a couple of years ago, they got left out. And so in that time, guess what changed? Their opinion on how many teams should be in it, because they wanted to make sure there would be a year. Now, they don't have to say this because Ohio State exists in their world. They don't have to say it. And then if it's not Ohio State, Wisconsin's been really good over the time. And so there's always a second team in the Big Ten. The Pac-12 does have to say it because over the last decade or so,
they've been hit and miss. Oregon, maybe 1 year, and then other than that, maybe Washington.
There's one team, maybe
Southern
two.
Cal's been up and down, and they're always in trouble.
Yeah, so that's why they're saying it. But I'm not surprised that they're not doing it maybe on the behalf of a couple of their conferences. And look, the ACC has Clemson, and before Clemson there was FSU, but usually there's not a second team in the ACC that, gets everybody's blood pumping. So, it's everybody would probably want it, and the Pac-12 is just out there going, hey, we want this automatic bid.
All right, 254-339-1122 is our text line. We're going to have here in just a second Kaden Sieracki from the Woodlands, who committed to Baylor. We'll break before then. 2 NBA notes. Mark Cuban is under intense heat because of what's happened this week, because he also called that Athletic.com article with Tim Cato BS. And then soon after that, Donnie Nelson's gone after 24 years and Rick Carl after 13. So what did he do? He threw in the biggest lifeline he can. He went and got Dirk to help him out. That's the only way that's going to calm down. Now, that doesn't mean Dirk's going to help him and make the right decision, but that was a way to at least give him a little bit. The heat is not quite as hot.
Dirk is a special advisor.
He's Nolan Ryan for them.
So, so I don't know what that even means. There are, he might have that R.C. Slocum job that when A&M fired R.C. Slocum and he still had 6 years on his contract and they just moved him to the athletic department.
Or Earl Campbell in Texas.
R.C. sat in the office and read the newspaper most days.
Played golf.
And then they say, hey, this guy, we want him to donate $1 million. You gonna play golf with him? Yeah, sure. What time? Not do anything else.
It maybe Dirk can be a lifeline, and who knows? Craig, your thoughts on that? Then a Kemba Walker note, and then we got a break.
I mean, it's a symbolic thing more than anything else. And, it does kind of calm the waters a bit, I suppose. I mean, not entirely, because I think a lot of people who are Mavs fans and even non-Mavs fans are still wondering what the hell's really going on in that front office, to where you went from, putting the Clippers on the verge of elimination to your head coach and your GM, who have been around for 15-plus years, both leaving within 3 days' time. I mean, that still is just odd, especially on the heels of that article. So I think Mark Cuban still has some answers for the fan base that he needs to deliver at some point or another to let them know what exactly is going on and where they're heading, and how that affects, most importantly, their superstar Luka Doncic. But it's cool. Anytime Dirk's involved, I'm good with that. I did notice Mark Cuban also lost some money in crypto. Basically got wiped out.
Yeah.
Not wiped out his account, but what millions in spare change he probably had in that is some little fun thing to do. But that's been his 2 headlines this week, so it hadn't been a banner week for Mark Cuban.
There were also thoughts that perhaps the Mavericks, if they nibble on bringing somebody else on board to help alleviate some of the pressure off of Luka, that Kemba Walker's name, I know that was one that was what's he going to do? He was traded to Oklahoma City today by Boston. Boston will send the 16th pick in this year's draft, a second-round pick in 25, Kemba Walker, who's an all-star point guard, and then also Oklahoma City will send Al Horford, Moses Brown, and a second-round pick in 2023. That looks like they're dumping a salary right there as well.
Yeah, they want to re-sign Evan Fournier, who they got at the trade deadline this year, and they're going to build the team around Jason Tatum and who's the other guy?
Jaylen
Brown, thank you. And Jaylen Brown. So Kemba Walker, on his way to Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City is now the place that sends you off. They're like temporary home, and they send you off to where you're, truly belong, like Chris Paul and Paul George.
We will have Grayson Grundhoefer in 30 minutes on Kaden Sieracki, who's about to join us here in the next segment. Chuck Cooperstein will join us at 4 on all of the drama in Dallas. Ruben Torres, who's the head football coach at Marlin. They have 2 players who are juniors next year. One of them, Gullett, his dad's the girls' basketball coach, is visiting Alabama. They visit 2 players getting heavy Division I attention. We'll have Ruben on for the first time. And then also we're going to replay Jim Grobe from earlier this week. Hope you enjoy that as well. If you didn't get to hear Lace Dunn or even Randy Clements, those are up as well on SicEm365.com. When we come back, Kaden Sieracki, why is he driving to Florida? That's next on SicEm365 Radio. Father's Day box at Waco Custom Marketplace. It's not too late. They're open until 6. And if you ordered your crawfish tails for a boil this weekend, you could pick them up between now and 6 when they close their doors or when they're open tomorrow at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. But here's even better. You want to get the grill going. A Father's Day gift box. 4 pieces of 12-ounce ribeye steaks. 2 pounds of 16 to 20 peeled and deveined shrimp. Those are nice and plump, and they're deveined, and they're peeled, and so you don't have to do the dirty work. And I've had those bags. You put them underneath a little bit of water for a little bit, maybe in a strainer, and it takes maybe 5 minutes, and they're ready to go. A bag of B&B charcoal and $10 of Be Kind gift card to Be Kind Coffee as well. $85 is all it is. $85 for 4 12-ounce ribeye steaks, 2 pounds of 16 to 20 peeled and deveined shrimp, a bag of charcoal from B&B Charcoal, and also the $10 gift card. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, not just Father's Day, but every day, where you can get the butcher shop and bakery and much more at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Travel is back. Hit the road with big savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. The road is waiting. Explore America again in the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick SUV. And during the Richard Carr summer savings event, current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off a new 2021 Buick Encore, 13% on Encore GX, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. Summer travel is back at the summer savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Yesterday evening, Kaden Sieracki gave his commitment to Baylor football to Dave Aranda, Eric Mateos, Jeff Grimes and company. Joey McGuire heavily involved in that as well. The young man from the Woodlands High School joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina, David and Craig Smoak. So, Kaden, first thing you need to do is, I know that you're driving to Florida with your father. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So why are you guys driving and your mother and the rest of the family is flying?
Well, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of flying because I usually don't really fit in planes, and driving is just more comfy, and I think it's better for nice because the planes don't really usually fit my body. That's not cool.
No, I mean, you're a big kid. I mean, and those puddle jumpers sometimes can be a little bit tight, and so you're on your way to Florida. How much does you get to enjoy it even more? You've made this commitment, you've made your decision, and now you can relax.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It really is. I mean, I was hoping, before like July 4th, just thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? After the unofficial, I was like, man, that just felt like home, and it was just amazing. I was like, why not do it now? So, it's awesome.
What about Dave Aranda, Jeff Grimes, Eric Mateos really drew you to Baylor?
What'd you say?
What about the coaches, Coach Aranda, Coach Grimes, Coach Mateos? What drew you to Baylor?
Definitely Coach Mateos. They just kind of like have that family atmosphere over there, and I'm really into that, and that's like definitely like the big reason.
Kaden, we've gotten to talk to Eric Mateos a couple of times, gotten to know his personality a little bit. How would you describe his personality and the style of coach he is from what you've been able to pick up?
How would I describe it?
Yeah.
He's super cool. Like, he's like super laid back. He's, someone that you know really easily. You can get into his roots pretty easily. And, but yeah, he's just super laid back and cool and just loves the game too. And it's all.
Your mother called you a gentle giant, but she said when the football games or when you put a uniform on, things change inside perhaps your body and your mind. Would you call yourself a gentle giant, but a little bit of a different animal when the games begin?
Yeah, I'm pretty nice. Like, outside of football, I think like all my friends tell me I don't know how you go into a game and you become a different person. I think I'm a pretty nice guy outside of football. When football comes on, when I put on my helmet, I feel go dominate and be a dog. Yeah.
So when those do you have like a moment where the lights come on where it's just like you're zoned in and you're a different person?
Whenever I walk out of our tunnel, when I put on my helmet, I'm like, man, I just got to turn it on. And we all go crazy as Woodlands, and it's just, it's awesome. I just put on my helmet, I'm like, man, here comes a different breed of human.
Different breed.
You've got a brother, Colton, that's also being recruited. You guys have picked up some of the same offers, including Baylor. What was his reaction to you making your announcement, and what is it like to go through that process with your brother?
It is so cool. I don't know if not many people get to do that. They don't have like a brother that that's also an offensive lineman who's also a dog. And whenever we both got it, it was great. I didn't think me and him were both going to. I know Colton's he's going to be able to choose wherever he wants to go free. And it was just one of the most cool moments whenever we both got that offer, and it was just it was crazy. It was awesome. I can't describe it.
You had an older brother, or you have an older brother, and you went to Concordian Lutheran High School, correct? When you started high school, is that in Tomball?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you were there for a couple of years, and then eventually you're at the Woodlands, and you're going from Concordia Lutheran to one of a massive school. The Woodlands is a large school, although Conroe and that area has exploded with every school seems to be large. What was that transition like for you? Because you kind of really just are somewhat raw and young when it comes to your offensive line experience.
Yeah, it was whenever not putting any shade on Concordia, they're great coaches over there. It's just whenever I came over to the Woodlands, I didn't really know kind of how I basically passed that or kind of run block. And when I got to the Woodlands, we only had COVID hit, once basically 1/4 of the year is what I had there. And I learned a lot from Coach Anderson and all those guys, but I didn't really I kind of learned how to pass set basically my last junior year. And from those, from my friends, they're kind of teaching me MJ, he goes to Baylor right now. He's a beast. And a few of my Titan and Jalen, they've all kind of taught me how to both run block and just be aggressive through that. And I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, I really liked it, coming over, and then I just basically learning. It was kind of the hard part as well. But I had to learn it in I guess just throughout the whole process of the season. So but yeah.
Concordia Lutheran has 450 enrollment. Woodlands has 4,250. Was that how much of an adjustment was that as well?
It was pretty crazy. I don't know why. It was insane. I came over and there was 1,000 kids in a class, and that was insane. And I mean, but yeah, I made friends pretty fast, and it was awesome.
Kaden, who'd you talk to, or who did you call? I guess, was it Mateos or Rando? Who did you give a call to give your commitment, and what was the reaction from the coaches once you let them know?
I called Mateos, and he was so excited. He's like, "Let's go, dude!" I knew you were gonna be a Bear, but yeah, it was awesome. It was super cool. But yeah, and then he put me on the phone with Randa, and it was awesome.
All right, so you had to miss your. What was it, your 8th grade or 9th grade year? You couldn't play football. Which year was that?
Oh, that was 8th grade.
All right, what happened? Tell everybody, let's get some truth here and going. How did you hurt yourself?
Well, my mom used to own this place called Urban Air, and we have dodgeball, and it's got these trampolines in it, and I, get pretty competitive when it comes to dodgeball. And I threw a ball, and I threw out my elbow, and it released a piece of cartilage and went in between my joint. And he got stuck there, and I couldn't I was at a 90-degree angle on my elbow. And I got, and this is in the beginning of the season, so I didn't even get to play a game, and that sucked. And that was brutal. And then so I got surgery on it, and I was I was out for the whole season, which also sucked. And but yeah, it was okay. I mean, I'm good now. I'm full. I'm ready to go.
Were you one of the largest? Were you one of the largest water boys ever?
Probably. I mean, I can handle some water. I was pretty good.
You had to do something. I mean, you were around football, and you've been around football a lot, and your family lineage when it comes to athletics. Kaden Sieracki is our guest from the Woodlands. He committed to Baylor last night. He's on SicEm365 Radio.
Kaden, there's an Urban Air here. I know that the Baylor won't like you to go to it. I mean, are you off
limits?
I was thinking how fun that would be. Yeah. That must have been awesome.
Yeah. Have you retired from trampolines and dodgeball and zip lining?
I dabble with dodgeball. Dodgeball's my thing. I mean, I like it. But I mean, trampolines. I mean, my brother's Colton. He can do backflips and crazy stuff. He's a freak. My older brother, he does that stuff too. I'm crazy into doing backflips and front flips, but I mean, I can jump around. Okay. Dodgeball's definitely my thing.
Okay, so yeah, dodgeball. I mean, you're a big, tall guy, and that's not necessarily a negative, but so you can move, you can move side to side pretty well.
I think I can. I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, yeah, dodgeball requires that, I guess. Yeah, but yeah.
Kaden, you might have mentioned it a few minutes ago, but do you have many guys on the current Baylor team that you know or that you've gotten to know, or is it kind of all brand new to you, some of the guys that are currently on the team?
The only person I know right now is MJ, and he actually did help me through the whole learning how to pass set and kind of basically played offensive line in basically 2 months of the summer. And I mean, yeah, he was definitely a good mentor for me. And at the Woodlands, he kind of, because he played left tackle, I played right. And yeah, he was definitely a big help. And he actually did. He made a playbook for me to learn all the plays. He's like, dude, you're going to start. And I was like, okay. And he drew this playbook for me. And I'm not gonna lie, it did help. It did. I learned the plays pretty fast because he's a genius too.
Your uncle is Glenn West. He was the longtime football coach. He's a Texas High School Coaches Association and part of that executive committee. He was at Brenham. He said that you guys used to come over and watch him. That's where you kind of grew up around Brenham football. Your mother you talked about playing dodgeball. Did you get that athletic ability? And I know your dad's listening too, so I'm not trying to say he didn't have it because I know he did. But she was a gymnast and pretty tall.
Yeah.
Did you get some of that from her?
I think I did. My uncle also played football in college. He was at Tulsa. He played offensive line at Tulsa. But my dad, he played basketball at JUCO, and he was a beast. I mean, he could throw down, but I mean, yeah, I think I got it from both sides.
So when you stopped playing basketball, did your father have a father-son talk with you at that time? How much did that break his heart?
I mean, the reason I stopped playing basketball is because I was not a big fan of running. I'm not. Like, I like it. It's cool. He was really sad. He was like, hey, like, it's good conditioning. That's why I did it. Honestly, I like basketball. I can shoot. I mean, I got a strap, but, I mean, yeah, he was a little heartbroken, but I mean, he knew. He's like, you're a big dude. You definitely are more football-wise, but yeah.
Did you actually notice it's funny timing that Baylor, they put out a video today with all the guys out there playing basketball at the Farrell Center?
I saw that. They were looking for some shooters for a national championship. So did your agreement with Coach Aranda, Eric Mateos, and Jeff Grime, anything about you not having to run gassers?
I don't know. I mean, jeez. I hope not, but I mean, if that's what I got to do to, do it, I mean, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, I can run, but it's just not one of my favorite things to do.
Well,
I'm with you.
Most people agree with you. Now I think I don't know if these are your aunts or on your mother's side or your father's side, but they were both college soccer players at Oklahoma and Arizona State. So there's even part of that as well.
Oh yes, that's on my mom's side. They're my aunts.
Yeah,
and they're pretty. They're athletes as well. I don't know. Yeah, we have all these athletes in our family. I guess it translated. I hope it did. They played soccer.
And both of them were goalies too, weren't they? Doesn't that say a little bit about their toughness?
Oh yeah. Lisa and Ashley, they are tanks. They're units. They're crazy athletes too.
Where did your dad play junior college basketball?
Where'd you play? I played at FJC. He played at FJC. Wherever that is. Florida Junior College.
Okay, all right. Part of the junior college basketball is really, really good. I covered it for many, many years. All right, couple more things. The Woodlands. Craig knows this. There was a time, Danny Amendola, and that school was elite. I know you guys are still good, really good, but you got a quarterback that's getting a lot of attention, Mabry.
Oh yeah, the chosen one.
And 6'6", 220. He's going to some pretty nice places himself. It's Mabry Matoyer? Matoyer. And so how much do you want to make sure, if he's the chosen one, doesn't that mean you're one of the chosen ones to protect him?
I think so. I mean, yeah, he's awesome. I think our offense this year is going to be super lethal. Our defense is also going to be pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I've known him for, till first grade. And we've all been really good friends. Like me, our entire offensive line is just we've all been super tight. Like Colton will probably play left guard. Cross Tucker, his cousin. The Tuckers are crazy athletes. He'll play left tackle. I mean, I think we're going to be really good. And blocking behind, in front of Mabry is going to be awesome. And he's one of the coolest guys in the world. He really is.
All right. Now, Coach Rapp is now your head coach, correct?
Yes, sir.
He was the offensive line coach. How much of that transition helps you out?
Oh, it's awesome. He comes around a lot to the offensive line, and he likes us to be dirty and mean and just plant people, and that's what he really likes. And it's awesome.
Hey, get yourself away from us and go enjoy your vacation. Kaden, it's been a blast to have you on the show. Look forward to seeing you down the road. Enjoy Florida. Enjoy the family down there and enjoy some decompression time. And Craig, anything else to say?
Yeah, congrats on making your commitment. That's a big deal. I know it's a stressful process, so congrats on that, and we look forward to covering you moving forward.
Thank you. It's awesome.
Kaden Sieracki with us, the Woodlands, who committed to Baylor last night. He's got a little personality, to him, a little charismatic.
He might be in the Troy Baker line.
Yeah, very
there you
well
go.
could.
Former Connolly star who was just a man-child for Baylor and Randy Clements on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I mentioned his brother's also being recruited by Baylor. They both got SMU offers the other day. I know his brother and he both have a lot of offers. So I think it's just cool. I don't know where he's going to end up ultimately, if it's Baylor, together, or if, they separate and go their separate ways. But regardless, I think that's pretty cool that you can have somebody by your side that's going through, a similar situation like that, because I'd much rather have my brother involved than, some random, former assistant coach who now, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of some of the shady stuff that happens sometimes in recruiting. That's cool that you have somebody that you know so well that's going through the same thing that you can bounce things off of, is a family member and not just a teammate. So that's awesome that they're getting to do that.
Yep, he was fun to listen to and talk to. Kaden Sieracki, the Woodlands Baylor class of 22 offensive lineman. Grayson Grundhoefer will give us even more insight on Kaden, and also a huge weekend visits, official ones, on the Baylor campus in Waco have started, and what all that means as well. And this is SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be every single day. How? You contact them, PettyClinicLowT.com. Upper left-hand corner, you'll see a phone number and an email address. Either one. Tell them Smokey sent you. And this is why you would contact them. Maybe you've been lethargic. Maybe you don't sleep great. Maybe your sex drive is not what it's supposed to be or what it used to be. And maybe as you get older, well, 1 out of every 3 men have a symptom when it comes to, or symptoms when it comes to low testosterone. It happens. Father time. Things happen. And so Dr. Kent Petty can try to help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. Contact them. Go to the website, PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell them Smokey sent you. And then what they'll do is set you up with an appointment to get your lab work, to get your blood test, to get your blood levels, including what your testosterone levels are or is. And then if it's too low, he'll put you in a program, if that's what you want to do, to help you become the high-performance man you want to be. He'll also check for your PSA level for prostate cancer and other levels your blood shows maybe something's not quite what it should be. It's PettyClinicLowT.com.
I hate my job,
but I don't mind getting up in the morning.
I dread each day,
but I can't wait to get out of bed.
You ask me why,
and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
It's an exciting time at Allen Samuels to enjoy the Chrysler Pacifica Minivan Month for the 2021 Chrysler 300 with values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Check out the 2021 Dodge Charger GT with values up to $4,250 or 0% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, located at 201 West Loop 340, online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhoefer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go with Grayson Grundhoefer. Grayson, I want to get to the weekend because it's a massive weekend for Baylor because it's been forever to have something like this coming up. But we just got off the phone with Kaden Sieracki. He is, man, this kind of seemed like an Eric Mateos, Craig or Paul both made it could be like a Troy Baker type personality. He seems to be, and I know it's a long way to go. He's got a year left, but he sure does seem to be a pretty fun kid.
Yeah, great personality, and I think that's going to fit really well with this Baylor coaching staff. Obviously, Eric Mateos, he's just a guy who builds great relationships, and because of that, he's a guy who I think could really, really just continue to have a great impact on the recruiting trail. And as you've already seen, I mean, Baylor up to 4 commits on the offensive line already, and Kaden Sieracki is the most recent one.
And Grayson, his brother's a pretty good player too, but he's a couple years younger, so he's got a ways to go. But pretty cool that they're already picking up some of the same offers, and also I imagine it won't hurt Baylor's chances in the future to have their brother or to have his brother on the roster. But I guess kind of a dynamic duo they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Colton is a guy who I actually think could end up being a national type recruit. You know, a top 250 type guy. Just watching him at camp on the 5th, because that's obviously where both of them got the offer right after that camp. He looks like a guy who's just going to continue to grow and get better and better. I was actually really shocked he was in the 2024 class, so still a long way to go in his recruitment. But, yeah, I mean, this definitely helps Baylor's chances with him in the future. But at the moment, it's really hard to bank on that, and truthfully, Baylor has not had a lot of success with taking package deals like that. So I think this is more just about Kaden being a guy that really fits the program. And also, I mean, 6'7", 320 pounds and can move. That's a pretty nice pickup for this class.
Grayson, who is coming this weekend and who do they want to get locked down for sure before they leave?
Yeah, this is a loaded weekend, so it's really difficult to narrow it down to, you know, 1 or 2. Obviously, there's a lot of really good prospects on campus, but I think, you know, I was writing a story for the website today, and the first kind of area that I started with was a guy that we've talked about a ton, and that's Lexington safety Jared Kerr. He plays kind of all over the place at Lexington, runs the ball, threw the ball a little bit last year for them, catches the ball as a receiver, and plays defense as well. But he's been a guy whose recruitment has been a very interesting one. He got the Baylor offer, that they were his first offer 6 months before the big offers came in. So he built a great relationship with the staff. Then, of course, the offers from Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Penn State all kind of started to line up, and things started to seem like it wavered a little bit. Well, last weekend he went and visited A&M, had a great trip by all accounts. A lot of people were kind of thinking that he was going to go ahead and make a decision, but he decided that the Baylor trip was definitely one that he wanted to take. And I think this is a huge one. I think this is A&M versus Baylor right now. And Jared Kerr is a guy who I believe is a top 20, top 25 type player in the entire state, and a guy who's locked in as a 4-star prospect. So this is a huge trip for him and probably going to be the deciding factor in his recruitment.
Grayson Grundhoefer with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Grayson, so they got 4 offensive linemen in this class now. How many more do you see them potentially taking?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that I think we're going to continue to monitor as things go forward. They have 2 visitors on campus this weekend who are offensive linemen, which is Austin Kowecki out of Frisco Lebanon Trail, and then George Mayle out of Bingham High School in Utah. So clearly they're looking to add some more pieces to the puzzle. We've talked about it quite a bit. I think they're going to take 6 offensive linemen in this class. And truthfully, if they decided, we're going to take a best available and end up taking 7, that really wouldn't shock me either. It's an area they have to address. They need to take as many shots as possible to try to make sure they hit on, a couple of these guys in this class going forward. So, yeah, I think it's 6. That's a pretty safe bet. And then I do believe if they wanted to, they could add a 7.
And there are those who have committed, Reese, Pyron, Roberts Day. It seemed like it's been forever since Kyan Roberts Day committed. I know a lot of other people have offered him since then. How important is it just for them to have a chance to have that face-to-face and really, truly get to know each other on campus?
Yeah, so starting with Kyan Roberts Day, just because, you mentioned him, I think people forget that he's been committed since May of 2020. So he's been locked into this class for a long time. He was committed 7 months before the second commit in this class, which was Carmelo Jones. So he's been locked in for a while, but he's also been, I feel like, the most talked about commit as well, because Alabama offer, Tennessee offer, Oklahoma State offer. He's gone on a few visits. So in his case, I think this is a huge weekend. Baylor has to solidify things with Kyan Roberts Day. He hasn't been able to be on campus at all. And so because of that, this weekend is huge for him. Now, as far as the other commits go, I think you look around and you just see a great group of visitors that are coming, guys who are ready to be on campus, ready to meet the staff in person if they haven't, ready to just kind of meet the players in the class as well. They have the group text and stuff, but that's very different than actually getting to be around the guys who are in the class with you. So I think it's a huge one. I think the fact that Zach Pyron is coming on this visit makes things very intriguing as well, because obviously your quarterback's usually the leader of the class. And so he's on this visit. Richard Reese, who you mentioned, the Belleville running back. There's also a few more other commits, the tight ends, Kelsey Johnson, Cody Mladinka, and then on the offensive line, Timothy Don and Colton Price. So a really good weekend for the commits and a good opportunity for them to try to do a little recruiting and try to help out the staff this weekend with some of these key prospects that are in town. I mean, this is a loaded weekend. There are some guys that Baylor absolutely has a great chance with, and they're guys that a lot of schools in the country want to land.
Grayson, how much, and I kind of picked this up last weekend while I was here filming stuff with you guys, how much of the kind of mad scramble going on right now across college football is to kind of figure out, the jumbled roster of COVID and everything else and not getting to see kids for, and it'd be a couple classes at a time because you want juniors in as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely made things more difficult. I mean, when you're talking about trying to fill out a recruiting class and you really are trying to figure out how many spots you have, these kind of new rules to get the numbers back down to 85. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And right now, I do think it's a bit of a mad scramble for every coaching staff in the country to try to figure out, what guys do they want to land? How many are they going to take in this class? They're also, frankly, they haven't even met a lot of these kids. So that's the other part, meeting them in person and actually figuring out if they're a good cultural fit. That's big as well. And I know phone calls and things like that, you get a good idea. But meeting guys in person is definitely a big deal. So I do think there's a lot of scrambling. There's a lot of attempts to try to get guys on campus. I think that it's going to continue to be like that throughout the season as guys open up their commitments or guys kind of become risers in the class as well. I think you'll probably see some more official visits later on in the season from multiple schools, probably including Baylor.
Is there a certain position group that you have an eye on because of who will be in town this weekend, or is it a little more broad than that?
Yeah, so I would say that, if I'm looking at it and just kind of my perspective, I think the defensive side of the ball in general is really where I'm looking. The wide receiver position's intriguing as well, but if I look at the defense and I see three names, Trey Emery, Jeremy Patton, Jared Kirk, all at the three levels of the defense. When we're talking about a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and a safety, all three have been major priorities in this class since the moment they were offered, and all three have had a certain recruiting, burst over the past few months where they've added more offers or become, more wanted prospects. And so I'm very interested in all three of those guys, how their visits go. Jeremy Patton, he, of course, added Oklahoma, LSU, and Texas. Took a Texas official visit last weekend. So a lot of momentum for him there. Trey Emery's been their top guy on the defensive line, it seems like, for the longest time. So obviously you want to build in the trenches. Trey Emery is your guy for that. And then Jared Kerr is the guy that I mentioned at the very beginning. But from a cultural perspective and just who he is as a player and kind of what he is about, I don't know that there's a better fit in this 2022 class than Jared Kerr could be for Baylor.
Kerr burst on the scene at Lexington as a running back. Patton burst on the scene at Tenaha because he was a tough-to-deal-with wide receiver, and that happens. High school players who play running back become linebackers or safeties or whatever. And it also means they're very athletic as well. Is that also something that you've noticed, Grayson?
Oh, absolutely. And it's different than just being, a good athlete. It's also being versatile. So you mentioned Jeremy Patton. This is a guy who kind of plays, at Tenaha, it's a smaller school. So, he's asked to do a lot of things. He's asked to be running back. He's asked to be receiver. He's asked to play safety. He's asked to play really close to the line of scrimmage and go make physical plays in the run game. So he's very versatile, and you can see that on his film. And then he goes out and tests really, really well as well. And you put all that together and you say, man, that's a really good football player and a guy who can really make that leap to the next level. And I think when you're at a school like Tenaha, there's still, I would say, unlike a school like Allen, there's a lot more growth potential, in my opinion, for a player that probably hasn't had the same benefits in the weight room and same things like that. And so I think he's a guy who's going to continue to grow. He could be a perfect fit for Dave Aranda's defense at the linebacker position. And I wrote about this in my piece this morning. But I think Jeremy Patton is one of those guys who you could see playing on Sundays after, 3 or 4 years in Dave Aranda's system. We've seen him put a lot of really good players in the NFL. And I think Patton could be another one of those linebackers that Dave Aranda finds a way to mold into an NFL player.
They played Mart in a playoff game, and I know that he's probably because he's fast, but he doesn't have that incredible track speed, and that might be why he's on the defensive side, because his body, as you mentioned, he's such a big body. And that I was told that he was good, but that most likely the best fit for him would be on defense. So having the thought that he might end up being a linebacker makes a lot of sense. Anything else, Paul, Craig?
Yeah, Grayson, have you noticed anything noticeably? Have you noticed anything substantially different from previous normal camps as far as just, the whole camp structure, is it pretty much the way that it was pre-COVID, or are there some noticeable differences in kind of how this all operates, guys traveling, all that?
No, you know what? The camps have been pretty just really normal, I would say. I mean, they're different because of the coaching staff, I would say, more so than COVID. So I think you're seeing, I wouldn't say a different level of energy, but I would say the energy is dispersed, to different position coaches. So you're seeing Eric Mateos being one of, the most loud and really just being a great coach and really relating to the players out on the field. And you're seeing the same splits. You're seeing the offensive line and defensive line go separate, and then they'll run, one-on-ones against each other, very similar to what's going on with the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the defensive backs. So it's very similar in the structure, but I would say, I think with COVID, you're not having the, I would say there was a camp that Rule had probably, I guess it was 2 years ago, where it felt like there were like 700 kids at the camp. Now, you're not seeing that. You're seeing that I think the highest they've had is 300, which was last week, and they'll probably have another 300 this weekend. But I'll never forget that camp with Matt Rule, where it literally felt like there were like 800 people there. And you're just in the Allison Indoor listening to his speech, and it just feels like the whole turf is crowded with people. Everybody's just standing next to each other along the wall trying to listen to Matt Rule talk. It's not like that this year, which I'm very thankful for, because that was absolutely crazy dealing with that. So it's been pretty normal. It's been very fun to kind of watch the coaches. That's been a big change, I would say, and just trying to figure out who these guys are as people.
I did send you a note. I got a note from an Elysian Fields High School coach about Braden Manning, who's a young, talented. It's not. He's like a sophomore this year, but he's a big, strong, good-looking, fast wide receiver from Elysian Fields. Have you been able to do any work or had a chance, or is that just too far down the line?
A little bit further down the line, but I will say, I mean, once you see a kid like that get on campus and get to see a little bit more of him, I think that's where you'll get to see kind of who he could be as a player, and also kind of Baylor's interest level as well. So I haven't gotten to do too much research on him. I've been so busy with this 2022 class. But you know how it is. I'll definitely work my way back to it, because 2023 is going to be right around the corner, and then soon enough, 2024 is going to be at the forefront of recruiting season.
Good luck with you this weekend, Grayson Grundhoefer and Brian Etheridge, and what they do on the weekends. Paul was a part of it. Jack's been a part of it as well. It's crazy in and out how they keep up with it. When we come back, it's been Drama City for the Dallas Mavericks with what's happened. Donnie Nelson and then Rick Carlisle. Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, next on SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Purdy escapes, throws downfield, and intercepted. Kalen Barnes comes up with it.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Yesterday during Craig's Off the Radar brought up the interest that networks have in Robert Griffin III. I sent him a text earlier today. I said, oh, by the way, if in fact you do lock in with a network, do we have to go through that network to get you on the show when that decision's made? And he said he doesn't know, but I still want to play. And so there's another story out today from Front Office Sports, and the same thing that Craig mentioned. This is like getting a lot of attention. Both networks blown away by RG3's broadcast booth edition, ESPN, Fox in a bidding war. And I said this, there has never been an interview I've done or we've done, any of us have done with RG3 that I remember that wasn't a great segment through thick and thin, insightful football, business, and life. No doubt he wants to keep playing. Jason Minix of San Antonio had him on, I think, the same day we did back when he was talking about Baltimore, and said the same thing. He is, I think he'll end up being a rock star, just like he was in college football and for his rookie year with the Washington.
I think he'll be excellent, and I don't know if they'll have him on games or if he'll be doing studio work, but either way he'll be fine. And if he's doing games and then they plop him into SportsCenter or whatever Fox Sports' equivalent of that is, I think he'd be great doing that too.
Well, first of all, he needs to retire because he's not done that yet. And Scott Drew said no brainer, RG3 would be outstanding in a comment to that tweet. And RG3 responded, "Thank you, Coach Drew. Still want to play, but trusting God's plan and timing." So clearly, until his playing days are over, this is just a kind of we'll see what happens type of thing. But the good news for RG3 is that while his playing career doesn't necessarily have a very bright future, his broadcasting one does. And so to know that he has that option moving forward is got to be a nice relief and a fun thing to get excited about, knowing that there's that option there. Because how many guys do we hear about, they get done playing football and they have no idea what they're supposed to do with the rest of their lives? You know, some guys start businesses, some guys stick around the game, and with RG3, he'll be able to make good money and be around the game and still be heavily involved. So I think it's great that this could be coming his way soon.
All right, Chuck Cooperstein is going to join us here momentarily, the voice of the Mavericks, on what has been a really intriguing up-and-down roller coaster, and in some cases, depending on who you are or what you thought or what you knew, kind of a shocking week. And yet Donnie Nelson out after 24 years with the Mavericks. I think the last, 17 or so as the director of basketball operations, and Rick Carlisle, 13 years out as head coach, who led them to the World Championship in 2011. There's been a lot of names that have already emerged, whether names for Luka Doncic or names of Mavericks past, but it's been a whirlwind week for the Dallas Mavericks following their series loss to the Clippers. Chuck Cooperstein, if you want inside information, voice of the Mavericks, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Coop, thank you as always. Man, well, as someone yourself who watches and is right there entrenched at times with the team, how would you describe this week?
I dare say it's the most extraordinary week in the history of the franchise. Now, I wasn't there at the very beginning, when Don Carter and Norm Sanju bought the team in 1980. I wasn't living in Texas at the time, but, I've been here since 1984, and never has there been upheaval, in the manner that we have seen over the last, 72 hours or so. We've seen coaches fired. We've seen general managers fired, but we've never seen, and we've seen ownership change, but we've never seen it all coalesce in such short order with everything that's involved.
Chuck, the article that came out in The Athletic obviously seems to a lot of fans like a catalyst for all this, but in a vacuum, if you look at a coach leaving and a GM leaving after a while and a team's been kind of spinning its wheels, it does not seem that odd, but you put those two things together and it's created a firestorm for fans. What are fans supposed to think about how this went down in relation to that column?
Well, the column was written as a result of, things that had happened over a period of time. It wasn't like, Sam Amick and Tim Cato, woke up on Monday morning and wrote that story and said, well, this is what's going on. There's stuff that has happened over time. Clearly, that led in Donnie Nelson's mind to the infringement on what he believed that was his authority. And he decided, to challenge and see, okay, what's going on here? And obviously he was told that things are, these are the way things are right now. And they parted ways. And then understanding that, Donnie hired Rick. In fact, they've known each other basically for 40 years, going back to their time. Donnie's a little bit older, but they both went to the same high school at Worcester Academy in Massachusetts. And when Rick was hired by Donnie, that was the only interview. Donnie never hired anybody else. He knew that Rick Carlisle was going to be his guy. So, when Donnie's out of the picture and Rick's probably looking at it and he's got, 2 years left on his contract and thinking that, maybe his seat is probably warmer than it has ever been in his time in Dallas. And, you don't necessarily want to have a coach working on the last year of his contract, by going to prove himself this year. Would he get an extension at the end of the 22 season? Or would he have to coach the whole thing out and give it everything that is going down? Maybe he's thinking this is the right time to get out. It's just simply the right time to get out. And so the announcement came.
Coop, when the article came out and then Cuban had the tweet that he had basically calling the article BS, and then a couple days later all this happens, what do you think that he meant by it's BS, given the fact that right after he says that, all of this ends up happening?
I mean, I'm sure he's probably looking at parts of the article. Now, he used the word total, which, in retrospect, I think he might want to have taken back. But I think, there were certain parts of the article that were just not true. A lot of it, I think, probably was true. In fact, I know a lot of it was true. But I will tell you for sure, if you know anything at all about Rick Carlisle, you know that he has an incredible ability to digest information and then to be able to discern what he needs and what he doesn't need in order to give his team the best chance to win. There is no way that anyone, from Mark to Donnie to Bob Voulgaris or anyone else, to Chuck Cooperstein, is going to tell him how to play his team and how to deploy his team. He will make the decisions on his own based on the information that is presented to him. And from that standpoint, if Bob was brought in to give different takes and make Rick think a little bit more about okay, maybe we want to do this and or do that, then you know what, that's what the analysts and the analytics people are supposed to do. But to actually say, go to the coach and say, you're going to run this lineup out here, this is how we're going to play, that's just not true. It's just not true.
Mm-hmm. So, Chuck, if you were another NBA team, would you have already called Rick Carlisle?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like if the announcement came at 3:00 yesterday at 3:01, I'm absolutely calling somebody. I'm absolutely calling it.
Yep, I would think that he won't be out there for very, very long.
Do you think that he would go for a job where he is going to build something, or something like Portland or Boston that's got guys in place and is maybe just one thing away from being a real contender?
I mean, I think he wants to win. I mean, I think he's been a part of building something. Remember, look, when he came to Dallas, he didn't really have to build it in Dallas. They were a consistent 50-win team at that time. He did build it in the short term in Detroit and did build it in the short term in Indiana. So he's capable of doing both. But I would imagine that, he's looking for the best opportunity to win. And, I don't know if that's Portland, Boston, could be Milwaukee, depending on what happens in Game 7 tomorrow night in that series. I mean, there are a whole host of opportunities for him. And as we both have just said, I mean, if he's not at the top of everyone's short list, then there are a lot of people in the NBA who don't know what they're doing.
Chuck, any idea on kind of the team's reaction to the changes this week? And I know that there was a story out there that Luka said he would endorse Jamal Mosley as a replacement. Do you see that as being a place that they look initially, or do you think this might be a wider net they cast?
Oh, no, it absolutely will be a wider net, because ultimately it's going to be the general manager that hires the coach. Mm-hmm. And really, any talk of, who will the coach be without knowing who the general manager is going to be is just extraordinarily premature.
Right.
Having said that, Jamal Mosley is eminently qualified for this job. He is ready for this job. He's interviewed over the last couple of summers, and by all indications, he did really well in these interviews. And yes, he would have the Luka seal of approval, which definitely matters in this situation. But there is also, a big difference between being the guy who works Luka out before every game and being that guy, who is moving 18 inches over into the big chair. Your responsibilities are entirely different at that time. He's no longer necessarily the good cop to the head coach bad cop. He's got to take on a different role at that point. And, I would think that Luka, having been around professional basketball for a decade, even though he's only 22 years old, absolutely understands that the dynamic would change. But it is important to look at Jamal and even see the game that he coached for the Mavericks against the Knicks when Rick had tested positive for COVID. And he did a tremendous job in that game, made the adjustments in the second half that had to be made, and Mavericks had a big win that night. He's ready. he's absolutely ready. But when you haven't had a coaching search for a long time, why wouldn't you cast the widest possible net to get the most ideas about what you think is best to move this team forward, and especially moving Luka forward, that he gets ultimately what he wants.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, SicEm365 Radio. Do you feel like the comment or the story today that Dirk is now a special advisor, was that in some ways Mark Cuban trying to maybe cool the heat a little bit because he's their Nolan Ryan?
I think there's a germ of truth to that. But I also think that there is no voice right now that Mark would listen to any more than he would listen to Dirk's voice. I mean, Dirk, he acknowledges Dirk made him. Dirk made him as an NBA owner for everything that he did. And so if Dirk is going to be in this role, and if you know anything at all about Dirk does not take on anything without being deadly serious about it. I can't imagine Dirk being any kind of ceremonial advisor here. I think he's going to be very much in the mix here. And again, not that he's perfect, because remember when he was a player, he was the one who really pushed hard for Rajon Rondo to be acquired. And everybody, there were a lot of people who thought, by the way, Rick Carlisle didn't think this, that Rondo would work here because they needed to play better defense, and Dirk, wanted a guy who'd get him the ball in the spots that Jason Kidd had gotten him the ball over the previous years. But it obviously didn't work. So, he swung and missed on that one, but it doesn't mean he couldn't swing and hit on some other things, and doesn't have, real ideas about, what could make this team better. And so I don't see any harm in bringing him in the mix and having him as a voice to help Mark out once the search firm, headed by Michael Forty, comes up with the names to be presented to him and say, yeah, we like this, we don't like this, and let's move on from there.
So they're going to hire a GM first and then a coach, do you think?
You have to do that. Mm-hmm. It's the logical way to do this, because it goes from owner to general manager to coach. Why would a general manager come to the team, and especially in this situation? It's one thing if the coach is already established, but he isn't established here. And what do general managers do? What's their primary responsibility to do? Mm-hmm. It's the roster, and it's the coaching staff, and it's all that stuff. So why you have to do it that way? And Mark has said he will do it that way.
Yeah, and unless it's Jerry Jones, right?
Well, yeah, that's different. But listen, there are those who are looking at Mark right now and thinking that this is just the basketball version of Jerry. Given what happened in as a result of the Athletic article, and I don't know if we're quite at that stage, but we are absolutely at an inflection point for the franchise. Certainly, from the time that Mark bought the team in January of 2000, he's never had a moment like this, and they've got to get it right.
Coop, one more thing, if you don't mind. Obviously, with Luka and the max and all that, and what looked like it would be some momentum despite how they lost that series to the Clippers. Is this a setback in their growth because this is the thing on the table now, and rather than adding pieces to Luka and the Mavericks, or is this just part of what happens?
We don't know if it's a setback until we get through the summer and we see what the roster looks like. At some point they're going to have a draft, and they're going to have free agency, and there's going to be player procurement, and the issue, who's going to be doing it, and what does it look like, and is it significantly different in tone and style from what we've seen over the last 20 years, whether it be from Nelly first or Donnie, and what the coaching will look like with Rick not here anymore, and whoever is going to be coaching the team. It's temporary in the moment, and it's significant. I'm not going to tell you here that none of this really means anything or doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. It means a lot. But ultimately, in the end, it's a significant hurdle that has to be cleared in the process to get ready for the 21-22 season.
All right, Coop. Thanks for your time, man. We appreciate it. Good luck this week with what you're dealing with as well. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That's Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks. It's pretty interesting, pretty darn interesting, what they have in front of them. And Luka's got the max. He'll do that. That's not going to stop him from doing that. But you do wonder, like we mentioned, the Kemba Walker story. I'm not sure if that would have been a fit because Luka wants the ball in his hands. Kemba Walker's a point guard, right?
Yeah, but they wanted Kemba Walker really bad, and they couldn't sign him. So, no, I would imagine they'd be, again, like, they got to hire the GM and the coach first, like you're going to start signing players when there's not even a coach or a general manager in place. You can't do that. So, free agency is an afterthought right now. It's not even top three as far as their major concerns go. And, they can knock that list out pretty quick, and I'm sure they will in the next couple of weeks. But, forget all the other regular minutia you'd be talking about right now. They got to get their front office fixed.
So I got a question. In the NFL, there's no doubt the Cowboys are a destination location. And in some cases, they haven't been able to do anything about that other than the draft, or you hear everyone, I grew up being a Cowboys fan. But free agent-wise, they've kind of had to tap the brakes because Jerry, Dion was the ultimate free agent signing. But the Mavericks and the Rangers, the Mavericks, no matter how good they were with Dirk, for a long time, and even now with Luka, they don't appear to be a destination city.
No, and the Cowboys, when they have jumped in, nobody tells them no. I mean, you can't tell me somebody who's told them no. Coaches, players, nobody's told them no. I mean, I say nobody. There's very few that.
There are probably more than that. But as far as if they want somebody and they can afford him, or even sometimes when they can't, or even if it's the right decision, if they want somebody, they get him.
On a smaller scale, and he's a very important player for them now, and is Lyle Collins. He fell through the cracks in the draft because he was one of the weirdest coincidences you could possibly imagine. But they, when he was available, the day after the draft, they flew him to Dallas, and then they weren't letting him leave. I mean, he wasn't going to that visit to the Dolphins. It's not that way with the Mavericks, and it's not that way with the Rangers. Craig mentioned the other day we were talking about the Mavericks and free agency, Chandler Parsons, how it was just all hands on deck for Chandler Parsons, and then that was just a big dud.
Well, that was a dud because more so because it was supposed to be a package. It was supposed to be him. It was supposed to be
DeAndre Jordan.
Jordan, and there was another guy that was a part of that as well. It was a threesome, and it might have been. Was it Matthews? And they actually signed him, I think. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be Matthews and Parsons and DeAndre Jordan, and then they ended up with, I don't know, maybe I'm getting that wrong, but it was like three guys.
DeAndre Jordan was surely
it was Shirley Parsons and Jordan. I'm just forgetting who the third wheel on that was, but that was the whole to-do, and everybody was all excited over it. And just at the end of the day, it turns out Chandler Parsons is just a D-bag, an overpaid D-bag, and that was a really rough period of Mavericks basketball to watch when you had to hold on to hopes with Chandler Parsons. I don't get it. I don't know why that's what they end up with rather than, a Kemba Walker from the outset. But, hopefully they can lock down some of these guys with the pull of their young superstar. I say this, and I know people have said this about people in the past, but seriously, how could you watch him unless you play the same position and not want to play with him? I mean, with what he does, why would you not want to be out on the court with that dude every night, and how could you possibly think that he won't help make you better and have a lot of fun in doing it? I mean, if there was ever, Dirk was great, but Dirk was also just so chill, so laid back. Luka's so young, and he's got a big personality. He's got all the marketing stuff heading his way. He's a star. He's an absolute star, and people are picking up on it far quicker than they ever did with Dirk Nowitzki. It took Dirk years to get the full level of respect. I think he always had it from his peers, but I don't know that fans realize how great Dirk really was. Fans already know how great Luka is. And he's not even 23. So get it right and get some pieces around him, and don't waste these prime years of his career with front office messes or, striking out in free agency. They can't afford to do that, man. They've got to you cannot guarantee you're going to ever draft another Luka Doncic. They got so fortunate when that happened. And they could have had Trae Young instead, so they would have probably made out pretty okay, but they've got potential. They just got to figure out this front office stuff.
Yeah, the last thing you want to see is Luka Doncic be Ken Griffey Jr. or Dan Marino. Somebody who's really, really great, but even in the greatest year, the Mariners had that one great year where they had A-Rod and Buhner and Randy Johnson and the rest of the pitching staff, and they had all these wins, but the Yankees existed, and they lost. I think it was 96 or 97. And so they had all that going, maybe 98. But you don't want them to be Dan Marino who Luka never, Dan Marino at least saw Super Bowl and then never saw one again. You want Luka to be playing in finals, get that shot.
Well, how much of this is on him also to become a salesperson?
I mean, I'm sure a little bit, but
not just because you think being as good as he is and young and obviously somebody that loves to distribute the ball and dynamic and popular and all that would be enough. But, you got that, and then you have guys around the league who have just flat out just gone after other people. Dwayne Wade recruited LeBron, all of that. I mean, he's not that type of personality.
Well, the other thing, it might help Luka down the line when LeBron and some of these guys are done and not swooping in because
the way.
Well, I mean, because again, if Luka asks you to come and LeBron asks you to come, what are you going to do for most guys? You're going to go to the Lakers, and then that might even be star players. That might just be guys who are role players.
The Mavericks are not and have rarely been, despite how good they were for a long, long time, a destination location.
Well, and the thing that's weird the thing you have to think about it is in the NBA, it's really never about the money.
It's about where you are.
Because the money's the same almost everywhere you go.
New York.
Because of the rules they
Miami
have.
And the West Coast, correct?
I said this yesterday. We talked about this, and I said I don't understand why Dallas is not a destination spot. But then again, I do because it's an entirely ununique city. I mean, there's what do you think of when you think of Dallas? When I think of New York, I think of skyscrapers, I think of Italian food, I think of Broadway, I think of Chicago, I think of the river, I think of the Sears Tower. When I think of Dallas, there's the Reunion Ball and there's.
Well,
it doesn't help when you see these damn videos to start off an NFL
I was just going to say that.
Cattle in a land.
Yeah, I mean, and there's the totally, and I really wish TV networks would stop being so lazy. Every time they have a broadcast in Texas, we're not all cowboys. We don't all ride horses or wear cowboy hats.
Or own cattle.
Or own guns. Or, I'm saying, all these we don't have 6 shooters on our waist, all of us walking around. But, there's they always show the Fort Worth stockyards, even if it's in Arlington or Dallas, as though that's just how it is around here. So I don't know. Maybe it's a misconception on the part of free agents that they think it's just so Texas or whatever. But I think it's also what is Dallas's pull? What's attractive about it that makes people want to go and plop down and commit to being here for the next 5 years?
Houston has been better in free agency than Dallas.
But Houston's also close to New Orleans. Yeah. Houston's also got a whole different culture down there as far as their hip-hop culture is much larger down there and more in line with probably your average NBA player. So I can see where it's appealing to it. I mean, James Harden had no problem going there. We've seen star after star after star end up in Houston over the last few years. Whether they stayed
Chris
long.
Paul was there, right?
Russell Westbrook was there. We've seen several guys. Now they didn't all make their choices to, and stay there for forever, but they sure as hell don't end up in Dallas. They don't randomly just get Russell Westbrook on the roster for the rest of the season. End up instead with Chandler Parsons or some other guy who's just a max player because he's been in the league long enough at this point, and they're just hoping to squeeze 2 good years out of him because that's what it feels like. But I don't know how much of a salesman Luka is. He's also not an American. I think that probably hurts him a little bit as well. It's just he's not on the same page necessarily with these guys, although I think being young and as cool as he is, he seems to have a lot of friends around the league. So is that enough to pull them in? I don't know.
But one of the things that that helped with Dirk in Dallas, and of course it was a different era of NBA free agency where there wasn't the crazy movement like it was, but he just didn't care where he the days of guys like Dirk and Tim Duncan was perfect in San Antonio because Tim Duncan doesn't give a crap. He doesn't need to be in a big city. He doesn't need to be around movie stars. He didn't need any of that. And then the Spurs flourished in that their star was a guy who did that and they found other guys. But now the league is so different that it's going to be hard. One day Giannis, if he doesn't win an NBA title, is going to is going to leave Milwaukee, and then no one's going to be in Milwaukee because Milwaukee's kind of like Dallas in that regard. And they got the bronze Fonz, but what else do they have?
Yep, I agree. So when we come back, we mentioned some of the high school football, and obviously with Kaden Sieracki on the show from the Woodlands. There's a school district, and we've discussed this before in Marlin. Sheila Henderson, her son, plays at Baylor, but they've got something going on in Marlin ISD, and let's be honest, they have struggled. And no reason to look back, but to look forward. But they've got a couple of players. Trajan Butler, who was on the show with us last football season. He was a Texas Built Ford Tough Player of the Week. Obviously, Gullett, who's on I think he's visiting Alabama, and his dad's a basketball coach for the girls there. They've been in the state tournament, I believe, as well. They got something going. Ruben Torres is their first-year head coach. What is going on, and what is the momentum at Marlin High School football? Next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a great summer savings event going on right now over at Richard Carr. Travel is back, and so are the deals and the savings. Get back on the road right now with space, safety, and luxury in a Buick. Richard Carr has Buick SUVs all priced to move. Right now, current Buick or GMC owners can get 16% off new 2021 Encores, 13% on Encore GXs, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on full-size Buick Enclaves. And Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owns are priced to move during the summer savings event with multiple cars and trucks priced under $230 a month for qualified buyers. Each pre-owned goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot, and with dozens of lenders, they say yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal. Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership, so give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. So come by and take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's the summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
Ruben Torres, a first-year head coach at Marlin High School, and they have a team that is blossoming right in front of maybe not only Coach Torres' eyes, but others. We've mentioned, obviously, Sheila Henderson. They have really done an amazing job at Marlin. I noticed that Trajan Butler was going to camp, I think, at A&M. Obviously, Gullett, we mentioned him, and he's going to visit Alabama. And so they've got something going on, and both of those are juniors. We're now joined by Ruben Torres, first-year head coach at Marlin. Ruben, listen, I mean, you got some, obviously not just those two, but give us a story. What intrigued you about Marlin and the fact you have that kind of a roster at the level you play?
Well, I think the first thing that intrigued me about Marlin was all the change that was going on at the top. With a very high energy, high expectation superintendent that brought in a tremendous all-star team at the top academically, and just the vision that he had and that he promotes day in and day out was extremely exciting. And Marlin's been a little down. And so I think when you go in there and you have a lot of confidence in yourself and you see the talent there, it's very intriguing to see how great you really are as a coach and to see if you can turn this thing around in a relatively short amount of time.
Is there any comparison to what you had when you were coaching at El Paso, what you did with those programs to what you're trying to do at Marlin?
You know, the only thing that's similar is the first head job I ever took, there was a lot of negativity and a lot of naysayers saying that, you know, you didn't have the kids, the academics were bad, you're never going to win there. And, you know, as a coach and as a competitor, you really take that and kind of get a chip on your shoulder. And so, you know, do you go a little harder? Absolutely. As far as the athletes go, I've been blessed to coach some really good athletes, but the concentration of talent and the ability that's right there at Marlin High School is something I've never had the opportunity to really be around.
You mentioned the changes at the top. Is Marlin a community that, I mean, if you strip away all the nuts and bolts of it, just, I mean, had a lot of things going for it. They just needed the right push.
I strongly believe so, and I think they also needed somebody that was going to come in and be bold and set the bar high and not take no for an answer. And from our superintendent to our athletic director and his entire cabinet, the 100% focus is the kids and giving our kids the absolute best, regardless of if we're at Marlin High School or somewhere up in Dallas. We believe strongly in kids, and we do this for kids. And that's something that's not just lip service. You see it day in and day out. A lot of tough decisions have had to been made, but they've been bold, and I believe that our community's buying in. I know that our student athletes are, and there's a great positive energy going on throughout Marlin, Texas.
All right, so you take over. David Haynes was there. Obviously, they were able to make the move last year to get a little bit better. They've had a couple of times, but it's been, as you mentioned, it's been a long time. What do you see in the eyes of those young men that you're coaching now and the belief that they have that it's time now to take Marlin back to the playoffs?
I think I see a group of young men who've never been really told how great they can be. or have had adults show them what it's going to take to be great and to be with them through it every step of the way. And so the buy-in was a lot quicker than what I expected, but they're showing up every day. You see it in their eyes, and you see them going out to these camps with confidence. I don't necessarily know if that was the case in the past. They completely support each other and push each other. And as a coach, when that type of environment is there, you know, you just kind of sit back and watch them hold each other accountable and compete every single day in a positive environment. And I think that's what you're seeing with our kids being proud and confident to say, you know, I'm going to the Texas Tech camp. I'm going to go to the Alabama camp. I'm going to be at A&M this week. I'm going up to TCU. So I believe that as adults, we're giving them, and as coaches, we're giving them the tools to understand. We're going to coach you up and give you the tools to be confident and to go out there and showcase yourself and give yourself an opportunity to do something that a lot of people have told them they can't do.
Coach, how big have some of the smiles been with guys coming back from these camps holding, you know, big-time offers? Just how has that positivity spread throughout the team?
Oh, I tell you what, seeing everybody, you know, it's contagious, and it's what you would expect when, well, I guess you could go two ways with it. Sometimes, you see other people have success, and there's a lot of hate and jealousy. These guys are so tight and such a good group of kids and close friends, cousins that, you know, they all pull for one each other. And I don't know who's smiling, you know, bigger, me or them, but, you know, when I was able to go down there and watch the Baylor camp with a couple of our other coaches and parents, just to see them having success. And then, of course, the offer came at the end, and just, you know, well-deserved, well-earned. You know, Darian Gillette has definitely put in all the work, and Trajan and Jamari Wilson and some other guys that you'll be hearing as this year goes on. They're doing the work, and so they know what it takes, and they're going out there against the best, and I think proving to themselves that, you know, they are just as good.
What will that do for your freshman and junior high kids to see guys getting offers that weren't really coming the last few years?
I think it gives them hope. I think that instead of kids looking to move to another town 12 miles up the road or 20 miles down the road, that they understand that there's something great that's taking place, and it's only going to get greater. And so the fear of us losing kids because of academics or poor athletic programs, those fears have been laid to rest. And you know, Team Marlin is here. We're making huge strides academically and obviously out here on the football field.
Well, we're a fan of Sheila Henderson. We've known her since her son was recruited to play for Baylor under Matt Rule, and I've gotten to talk to Sheila a few times, Dr. Henson, Daryl Henson, with what he's doing as well. So we've told the story. Now, how shocked, or you knew this, I guess, when you were interviewing for the job, to have the kind of players you're talking about visiting these different campuses, and not just Gullett, and not just Butler, but others. But they're visiting Division I campuses in a school the size of Marlin.
Well, I think that, and I've had this talk with a few people, and it was even something that I had said, you know, when I was going through the interview process, is that, you know, winning, leadership, talent, and doing things right, there is no, you know, 6A, 5A, 4A attached to it. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the college coaches in the state of Texas and in the Power 5, they do their job, and they don't look at the A classification. They look at the player, and are they being coached? Are they great people? And obviously, athletically, can they hold their own? The first time I ever saw our kids in person was seeing them play a basketball game. And right then and there, I knew that we had something special athletically. And as we've gotten into the off season and the weight workouts and putting together our track program, you know, that was something that Marlin had kind of fallen off in track. And with the support of Dr. Henson and the leadership of Mrs. Henderson, and getting our track program going and then making a run at state, I think it just started to, you know, to roll like a domino effect, and the kids are riding the wave and working in the off season, whereas, you know, that may have not been taking place. And so, you know, to be successful, you know, successful people all do pretty much very similar things: strong off season program, character development, accountability, expectations. But I think more importantly, than all of those things is it's the ability to teach and coach and guide these young men throughout the process. And again, they've bought in, and all the credit in the world goes to them for everything that they've achieved and the buzz that they've created for themselves and the way that they've gone out there and conducted themselves and marketed themselves. So it's been, I mean, there's not a day that's gone by where I'm not just smiling ear to ear and excited about what's going on.
Did you study the history of Marlin football and know that there were glory years? That they've been to the playoffs. I know that Coach Hensley or Benny Hewitt or even Stephen Hodge took them. And I know last year they, I think, went because even with COVID they had a shortened season. But as far as winning seasons, it's been few and far between. But that stretch where they were, I think it was 91 wins in 8 years from 98 to 2006, and of course played for a state title in 2003. Did you kind of know about and study that history or talk about it?
Yes, sir, absolutely. You know, when you first start Googling Marlin football, you see a picture of the great Jerry Malone come up.
Yep.
And, of course, throughout the town of Marlin and even outside of Marlin, you know, the legacy that he's left and the winning seasons and the great teams and the players that left Marlin, you know, Motkins, who's, you know, the older brother is the running back coach for the Denver Broncos. The younger brother's a DB coach for Texas Christian, TCU. So the history, the players, the people, they've been there, and for whatever reason, they took a big dip. But I don't believe that the talent ever left, and I just think it was perfect timing. At least for me, it was perfect timing to come to a place that was unknown to me, but had a rich history. And a town of people and a leadership team that are just starving for success at the highest level.
Hey, Ruben, thanks for your time. Good luck going forward. Good luck with all the young men having an opportunity to go to these camps. We had Trajan Butler on last year when he was a Built Ford Tough Player of the Week in the state of Texas. You know, you have names like Jeremy Sanders. You meant they had that great run. I saw them and covered them in a state championship game in Tyler when they played Atlanta, lost the game, but they had that great run. So it's good to see the momentum. I know you still have to carry it over. Good luck throughout the summer. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Ruben Torres, the head coach at Marlin. Boy, Paul, you were around when they made that run. I covered them against one of the most brilliant, fast,
Lark Smith and I had a couple games.
Dynamic teams I've ever covered in Atlanta in 2003.
In fact, the Jeremy Sanders team got upset by Hutto, and that was a rough interview with Malone, Coach Malone, after the game.
Yeah. Butler last year had 361 yards against Axtell in that game that put him in the limelight for what he did. And Gullett is Alabama, among others. It's really cool. It's a great story. And they have worked their you-know-whats off to kind of cultivate and change the culture, whatever you want to say. And I know they probably get tired of always saying, well, you know, we're not that anymore. No, they're not. They've done a great job. They were on the edge of extinction. And look at them now.
Yeah, it's almost like if you get people in there that have positive mindsets and are actually wanting to do good and not be selfish, that you can turn things around no matter how dire they look. Problem is that there's obviously just not great leadership for a very long time, a lot of selfishness and a lot of politics and things like that. And you bring in Sheila Henderson, and with her personality and just her outlook, it's been a breath of fresh air, to say the least. And I love listening to Coach Torres talk. I think he's going to do a hell of a job just based on listening to him. And they went from 0 D1 guys to like 5 overnight, basically. And it's not like they're just going out and, you know, if there's Red Raiders listening, I don't mean this disrespectfully. I just tired of using Baylor all the time, but like, you know, Texas Tech is one thing, but when you're going out to the Alabama camp and like, you know, I mean, Tech would be a big deal to Marlin. Any offer's big, but like, we're talking about like some of the bigger schools, you know, period, are looking at Marlin, Texas all of a sudden, and that's just wild to me.
All right, Craig, you brought up that DeAndre Jordan the scenario. I went back and Googled this, and I'm going to break because we don't want to get behind. We have Jim Grobe replay at 5. All right, so DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and the other name that they were looking at was Jaja Pachula.
Zaza Pachulia.
Yeah, I mean, no, not really. I mean, that wasn't a part of like the big three thing, though. That was that was just like another guy that would have been on the team. It was mostly DeAndre Jordan, Chandler Parsons, and Wesley Matthews. Wesley Matthews was, I think I said Matthews, but I said Gary Matthews or something. But yeah, Wesley Matthews was the third wheel, and they did sign him and didn't amount to anything. So yeah, the one piece to that was DeAndre Jordan. And I don't know where, looking back on it, I don't know how they even talked themselves into thinking that was going to make some major differences having those Matthews, Parsons, and DeAndre. But, man, they sure, I guess, blew enough smoke to make people believe in it. But I'm glad that didn't end up happening in the long run.
When we come back, a couple of notes to close out the 4 o'clock hour. We'll have Jim Grobe from earlier this week. In the 5 o'clock hour, Paul's 5 at 5:55.
5 guys you don't want to fight.
SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Look, the weekend's coming up. If you're a craft beer fan, why don't you saunter on into Riverbend Liquor and Wine, walk into that gorgeous fridge, and look at the variety that they have. Steve Chapman is always churning the roster of beers, and it's summertime. I'm sure he's got some great shandies in there. I'm sure he's got some great stuff that you're going to really enjoy if you're out by the pool, out doing stuff, out trying to beat the heat. Plus, great selection of liquor, great selection of spirits. They have their own single barrel selection of Balcones. I'm not sure if they still have that. I'm sure they probably still have a little bit of it left. They've got great stuff at Riverbend Liquor and Wine and great customer service, a drive-through window that rivals a place that sells chicken. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They get you through that thing super fast, and you could ask them for 20 different bottles of stuff, and it would just be in your car before you can say Jackrabbit. That's how quick they are. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Payments for qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See dealer for details.
Travel is back during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Explore America in the space and safety of an SUV or truck from Richard Carr. Savings like a 2016 Buick Encore for $148 a month, a 2017 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, or a 2016 GMC Acadia for only $228 a month. At Richard Carr, 100% credit approval is always the goal. Log on or get here now and save at the summer savings event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
All right, we'll have Jim Grobe from earlier this week in the 5 o'clock hour. Richard Bland is the leader at the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. They're going through the second round right now. I just saw Koepka bogey. He was at 4 under, now 2 under. Bland at 5 under, done. Oosthuizen, Henley, 4 under. Henley's on the course. Bubba Watson today put himself -3. John Rahm is 3 under. Koepka 2 under through 6 today. Schauffele 3 under. Let's get some of the bigger names here, Paul. Bryson DeChambeau jumped back in it. Went 30 spots up from to 2 under par round today's even par for the tournament. Let's see here. McIlroy is +1 through for the tournament. Justin Thomas is, I think, actually +1, and he's on the course early on in his round. Dustin Johnson is going to make the cut, but at 2 over par. 2 over par is not out of it. 7 shots back of the lead.
I think the bigger story is
Mickelson's 3 over on the course. You know, he had a horrible start.
Yeah. I think the bigger story is not who's going to make it. It's who's going to not.
Jimmy Walker's under the cut line right now.
Jordan Spieth is over right now. He needs it to move to +4 to make it. Let's see. Who else is not going to make it? Sam Burns just had a great year.
Spieth is 4 over and done. So if it does nudge up the 4 over, which it could because scores should go higher, then maybe he and Morikawa get in at 4 over par.
Morikawa. Tony Finau is 5 over, so he's done.
Yep, probably.
Zach Johnson is 6 over. He's won some majors in his life. He's done. Heinrich Stenson 6 over. He's done.
Zalatoris, remember the young stud?
Zalatoris 7 over. He's done. Let's see.
Webb Simpson.
Webb Simpson is 9 over. He's done. Justin Rose 13 over. He's done and dead to me. Not that he would have been the only one that cost me that, but even still.
So right now it looks like it's down to Bumpus and also Rob.
Yeah, Morikawa. It's like my whole team. Victor Hovland might be over the cut line now, but.
Well, it doesn't matter. You could have 3 guys winning the thing.
I have a draft with my friends that we do. I do ours first and then that one second, and I also the only person like I didn't have was Louis Oosthuizen. And I had the same guys, and I have other people who have also not made the cut. This is going to be tragic for me.
Yeah, there's going to be some guys who are right now under the cut, is on the course to probably blow up with a double or so, or maybe 1 or 2 of those. So that's going on.
It's one of those things I think it's like cyclical, because a couple years ago in that group, I drafted Brooks Koepka when he ran away with the U.S. Open, and then my next guys were like all in the top 10. I had the most unbelievable run, and now I'm the exact opposite.
Hideki Matsuyama shot 76 today, 5 over. He's at 3 over, but underneath the cut line, which is right now, again, at 3 over par. Might go up to 4 and add some people back in the list. By the way, our Cottonwood Creek Golf Course U.S. Open update. So I went over there today, saw Kenny Duran lower your handicap, play golf at Cottonwood Creek. Staff and facilities, call them for a tee time today at 745-6009, right next to Waco ISD Stadium on Bagby. When we come back, Jim Grobe, former Baylor football coach, joined us earlier this week. We have that on Fridays during the summer and a couple of other notes. And Paul's top 5 at 5:55, SicEm365 Radio.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Williams in motion, play action for Daniels. Backside pressure. Down he goes, back at the 39. The Bears got there.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
He, to me, is someone that even if you give him an amazing amount of respect and adulation and thank you, will never get enough for the role he played with Baylor to replace Art Briles in the interim job at Baylor in 2016. We've had him before. Jim Grobe, former Baylor head coach, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. What did you shoot today? What was your round?
Well, I played with my grandson, and I shot 43, and he let me beat him by a stroke. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
By the way, what is your handicap now, seriously, in golf? Well, you play at Reynolds Plantation. You've invited me there before. One of these days, I'm just going to knock on the front door. But what is your handicap? Is it better now than it was even 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, the invitation's still there, Smokey, but I'll tell you, I'm a 7.4 right now, but I think you still need to give me a couple strokes.
Okay, I will. I just got my update. It's a 6.1, so I will. I'll give you.
Oh, yeah. Good. I like it.
Hey, by the way, Phil Bennett, I spoke with him about something completely different. He happened to call me today about something with a high school coach trying to help him with a job. And I brought up that we had you on today. And I know there were days and times when things were pretty rocky. Do you understand how much Phil Bennett appreciated you?
Well, that goes both ways, David. That guy, I felt so bad for him because he's such a good football coach and a wonderful guy, and we were in such rough times together. But I have total admiration for Phil Bennett and the job that he did, and I've never known anybody that's a better football coach or anybody that works harder than Phil Bennett at getting the kids ready to play.
Coach, this is Paul. I've told people for years the story of your Big 12 media days when you had the job for maybe long enough to get enough polo shirts to take on the trip and had to go to Big 12 media days. And then everyone was kind of coming at you as if you'd been at Baylor for 10 years, and had a lot of the answers to questions. What was that like to have to deal with something when you still hadn't even had opportunities to really know what had gone on or what was going to come in the future?
Well, in the short amount of time that I'd been there, Paul, I'd seen nothing but great kids, great people. I love everything that I, in a short amount of time, had come to know about Baylor was good. And when I got to the media days, it was all about this bad culture at Baylor. And I've been at Wake Forest, and I thought Wake Forest was a good place to be. And I got to Baylor, and I just saw all the same type things, and I just thought Baylor was a wonderful place. And I get to the media days, and they're talking about this bad culture, and they keep talking about the bad culture, the bad culture, the bad culture. And I finally called them out and said, look, I haven't seen that. That culture that you all are talking about does not exist at Baylor. And so everybody goes absolutely crazy. And I wasn't trying to say that mistakes hadn't been made and some bad things hadn't happened at Baylor, but there was not a culture at Baylor that was bad that I found. And, you're trying to throw a blanket over the whole university and say that everything's bad about Baylor. Well, most of the things that I found at Baylor were fantastic. And so for me, I just ended up from then on having a button heads kind of session with the press every time, because all the things that I was seeing that, of course, they didn't have firsthand knowledge of were good things. I saw all good things about Baylor, and I know there were problems, and I know that some people didn't behave the way they should have, but the majority of the players, I felt so badly for the parents, and so I ended up in a defensive mode right away because I didn't experience the bad culture that everybody was talking about.
Hey, Coach, Craig here. You've been out of the college game since that year at Baylor in 2016, and it's safe to say it's a little bit of a different world in college athletics now, between name, image, likeness, just the way that the season went last year with the COVID-19 causing havoc to schedules and everything. It's just a whole new world out there, the transfer portal. I'm just curious your thoughts on the college game today. Are you glad to not have to be dealing with all these different changes in a way?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I was really glad that I wasn't dealing with the COVID problems that all the coaches were dealing with. I thought that was a nightmare for really everybody. And I thought, my wife Holly, she said, once the season got started and they were trying to play some games, that certainly none of the coaches' jobs would be at risk. And then, a lot of coaches lost their jobs this year in the COVID season, and I thought that was a little bit silly, to be honest. But I do think that was tough, and coaches are dealing with things that I wouldn't want to deal with right now, the transfer portal and all the things that, with the way that things are going as far as, likeness and paying the players and all the kind of things that are going on right now. I will say this, I'm totally in support of student athletes, and I want the kids to be well taken care of. I want them to be able to feel like that they can go to school and play sports and be well taken care of by the universities. But, I started at Sic'em Junior College and I cleaned Garber Hall 15 hours a week. I was on work study. My dad died when I was a junior in high school. And so when I went to Ferrum, I was paying my own way. I was on work study. I was on loans. I was helping clean Garber Hall there at Ferrum for 2 years, every 3 or 4 nights a week, and paying my own way to school. When I got a scholarship at the University of Virginia, I thought I died and gone to heaven. Mm-hmm. And so I think a scholarship's a pretty good deal, and somehow we've gotten to the point where we don't feel being on scholarship is worth very much. And I go back to all the kids that are walk-on kids that are paying their own way and playing football just because they love the game. And so I'm coming at it from a different standpoint. I do want to take care of student athletes as much as possible, but I do think that we've kind of lost the focus of being a student athlete right now, and it seems like we're trying to push things on players right now that I'm not sure are going to be great for the game.
Jim, when Grant Teff called you, you've gone over that with us and asked you about Baylor, and you took the job. Was there ever a time, one night, an afternoon, when you woke up in the morning, ever a time where you felt like you'd made a mistake?
Never. It never crossed my mind. What I found, Smoak, when I got there, with just this wonderful group of kids and a wonderful university and everybody trying to help as much as they could. And Holly and I had a habit. We'd get up in the morning and we'd walk on campus before I went into work. And we're out on campus at, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and walking around campus, and ROTC's out working out, and students are jogging on campus that early in the morning, everybody out before classes got started. And we would have students every morning come by and say, "God bless you, Coach. Thanks for coming, and thanks for your help," and all these things. We would go to dinners, and we'd get ready to leave the restaurant, and students have written a note, "Coach, God bless you. Thanks for coming," and they paid for our dinner. And I've never been in an environment like that before, and so. As tough as it was trying to deal with the problems with the media and trying to get the team ready to play and trying to get some of the things that had happened behind us so we could get through a season were really challenging, but there was never once that I felt like we weren't doing something good.
How hard was it to hold? Because when you had, the first 6 games was business as usual for Baylor as far as the results go. But once you had that first loss, how could you feel that that thread had been pulled and it was going to be hard to kind of reattach everything?
Well, I think that the biggest problem was, and I understood completely, the coaches wanted to support Coach Browse because they felt like that, even though there had been problems, that nobody had intentionally done anything, to end up with the results. Like they had losing the president, losing, athletic director, losing Coach Browse. And so these guys were upset. I mean, they were very upset. They loved Coach Browse, and they were very upset. I understood that. And what my main goal was to try to keep the focus on the players. That we had all these players that had never done anything wrong, and all these parents that were heartbroken about what was happening, with the team and with the school and with their kids. And so I tried to my main goal was get all the coaches to focus just on taking care of the players, coaching them and putting their arm around them and keeping them going. But as we got a little bit involved in so things outside football, social media and all those kind of things. And it kind of blew up there for a while. We kind of got off track and lost some games. And of course that never helps. But I do think that, we weathered the storm. And by the end of the season, when we got to Boise State in the bowl game, that's when the coaches, I think, had finally figured out, hey, we're not going to be able through social media or whatever means, going to be able to help Coach Browse. And so let's just coach some football. And so the bowl game experience, that time leading up to the bowl game, watching our guys have fun again and just coach football, and the players have fun and just play, enjoy practice and enjoy being together. And, having a really good outing against Boise State was really, really special. And I think by the end of the season, even though we'd gone over a lot of hurdles and struggled quite a bit, it was really rewarding for me to see the kids actually smiling again and having fun on the sidelines, and the coaches really enjoying just coaching football again.
And wasn't that also imperative in a lot of ways? One, to try to end it on a good note, also with what you wanted to do, but they also, was there a concern that Boise State, if you went in there with some kind of lackadaisical effort during practice, they could embarrass you?
I think that's what everybody expected, Smokey. I think everybody expected us to get our ears pinned back. But I had a great feeling about it. I never thought that the coaches or the players felt any stress. In fact, it was just the opposite. I think we felt like by the time we got to the end of the season, I thought we played pretty good at West Virginia. It was a nasty night and foggy and rainy and cold. And we had the freshman quarterback. Zach was just starting to get his feet up under him. And I had a feeling that we were starting to improve, and our coaches were kind of focused now on just coaching football, and the kids were focused on playing. And that time leading up to Boise State, I just really felt like we were in a great position, because I don't know that Boise State felt this way, but I think most people around the country felt like Boise would wear us out. And I don't think we were more prepared at any time during the season to play a football game than we were for Boise State. And I could just tell that our players were chomping at the bit to play one more game.
And they did.
Yeah, that might have been Zach Smith's, one of his best games just period in college, even with what he did at Tulsa afterward. Kaden had a huge night that night. It was definitely good to see a win. Coach, do you know Dave Aranda at all?
I don't. I've talked to Mac about him, and I know when Mac when he hired him, that he thought he had somebody really, really special, somebody that would be a perfect fit at Baylor. And, off to a rocky start. But, Matt Rule got off to a rocky start. I think anytime you bring a new system in and you're trying to get to know the players and what their capabilities are, it's hard to hit the ground running. But I've heard nothing but great things about Dave Aranda, and I've got a feeling that they're going to get things going again here pretty quick.
And when you have to have that system running again and you have to do it all on Zoom, it's near impossible. I mean, you look around the country, Coach, most of the coaches that their first year that didn't really get to know the players or have spring football all struggled at some point because, whether COVID hit them or not, you just had no continuity. And you can't invent a way to do it in 3 months. This is years and years of coaching, right?
Well, one of the great things I've heard about Dave Aranda is that he's got a really close relationship with the players, and with all the stuff that the coaches were trying to do on Zoom and trying to coach on the computers and all those kind of things, I think I can't even imagine. My favorite thing to do was to interact with the players face to face and put my arm around their neck and hug them and kick them in the butt if they weren't doing the right things, but just that personal relationship. And I think, with all the masks and I think that in itself, just wearing a mask while you're coaching or trying to do things, by Zoom and not having that personal touch. If you're a coach that relies on being really close to your players and getting the best out of your players from a personal relationship, what a nightmare that was to not be able to do that.
Craig mentioned the Boise State game with Zach Smith, but Kaden had a monster game. But there was a time during the season, Coach Browse was not just a coach to him, but like some players, even you've had players, he was almost like his father. And he was, at sometimes, a little bit difficult. And I'll share this story. Phil Bennett said that it was time for him to be disciplined. And Coach Bennett, walked into an offensive staff meeting and said, we're not taking him to Ames, or we're not playing him against Iowa State. And that was a decision you had made as well. How much did that mean to you, and how hard is that when you have to do that?
Well, really and truly, you look at least I did. I looked at the players like they were my own sons. I have two boys, and they're, of course, they're grown now. But I looked at the players exactly as if they were my own sons. And at some point, even though it breaks your heart to do it, you have to let them know that their behavior and their attitude, and what you're trying to do is get them ready for life. You're not just trying to win a football game at all costs. And so sometimes you have to make those hard decisions, and you try the best you can to get the guys going in the right direction. And if they just won't go in the right direction, you have to let them know that football is not more important than them personally. And I think that's the message you send, and you send that to the entire team, that hey, if you don't do the right things on and off the field, then football, may not be a possibility, and you don't ever want to do that. But at the same time, you kind of feel good about doing those things, especially when you see at the end of the year that the guys, come around and finally kind of get it.
Yeah, you won that game, by the way, in Ames, 45-42, rushed for like 800 yards in that game. Paul, Jim Grobe with us, Craig Smoak, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. Jim, I hope you don't take this question wrong, but you had a successful career. What you did at Wake Forest and what you've done, there's a reason why that people knew you even well before you took over the job at Baylor. But do you feel like maybe some thought of you as a babysitter and did not legitimize you enough as a coach that year?
Well, I really didn't care about that. One of the things that I wanted to do when I came to Baylor, and Mac told me, and at the time Ian McCall was the athletic director, and Ian told me the same thing, and that if I got there and felt like I needed to bring people in and make changes, that I had the ability to do that. But I had a group of coaches that I assumed, and I had to do this because nobody had charged them with doing anything wrong. I had to realize that these are husbands and dads. They have families. Mm-hmm. These guys are counting on an income, this is their livelihood. So what my only goal when I got there, as far as the coaching staff was concerned, was that unless anybody came to me and had, proof and knew that these coaches had not done what they were supposed to do, I was going to take these coaches and let them try to keep Coach Browse's system intact, because my number one thought there was I wanted to take care of the players, and the way to take care of the players was try to keep things as consistent as possible. I mean, they've done great things when Coach Browse was there on the football field, and if I could keep things as consistent as possible, and that's keeping the coaches together and trying to let them do their thing. And honestly, there were some things, I got to be as totally honest with you as I can, there were some things there that I didn't agree with, the way we treated the players, as far as, discipline and practices. I thought offensively we were a little, laissez-faire kind of, in practice, where the defensive, Phil really worked those defensive kids really, really hard every day. And I thought at times offensively we weren't as disciplined as we needed to be offensively. But I thought Kendall Browse was one of the best coaches I've ever been around. I thought at times we needed to kind of crack the whip and work these guys a little harder on offense. But at the same time, they've been so successful in the past, I wasn't going to step in and change a lot of things because the players had gotten used to being coached this way. So I think, maybe you could say I was a little bit of a babysitter, but my number one goal was to try to make sure that the players, that, they were getting beat up enough by the press. And I felt like that the best way for me to help these players was to try to keep things as status quo as possible. And even though I saw some things that I said, hey, I wouldn't do it that way, at the same time, I felt like for the players, the best thing to do was try to keep things sailing smooth.
I would think that with that staff, and some of them have told me this, that they're pretty much everybody at some point probably had an explosive moment, because we're talking about how personal it became. You're talking about a son-in-law, among others. How did it took a special man. And I say that to you. It took a special man to juggle all of that, because you understood what they were going through, what you were trying to do for the players, what you saw yourself and not what people told you. Where did that come from in you growing up? You mentioned your father passed away when you were younger. Where did that come in Jim Grobe that you became that kind of person?
Well, I think more than anything, Smokey, it's having coached for so long. If you've been around long enough, I've seen coaches that I thought were way too tough on kids and way too tough on the staff, and I've seen coaches that don't care if it's no good. So there's somewhere in the middle of that where you can be too soft or you can be too tough, and I've always been kind of a middle-of-the-road guy. And there were times with our coaches where we got nose to nose and disagreed. And then there were times where I had to just kind of put my arms around them and understand that, hey, these guys are really struggling right now. And so there were some rocky times and there were some good times, but more than anything, I really felt like these were guys that thought that they had done things the right way, and obviously at times they didn't. But I thought all of these guys needed to be accepted and kind of. I kind of want to put my arms around them and say, I understand what you're going through, but let's put all of our attention on the players and take care of these players and try to focus on them. And for the most part, we did. There were times when we got sideways a little bit, and like I said, it wasn't all smooth sailing, but I really felt like that these guys were struggling and they needed my help more than me trying to, jump down their throat every day.
Do you sometimes wonder that, and there was a distraction that came right on the eve of you playing in Austin against Texas that blew things up a little bit, and you still had the lead against Texas late in the game and had a couple of opportunities to step on their neck? There was a hasty fumble. Seth tripped up going into the end zone. Do you sometimes wonder how long that unbeaten season could have continued had you won that game at Austin?
That's one of my toughest losses as a coach. And as I said, there were some things that I would have done differently as a coach, but I tried to keep things status quo as much as possible. And that was a week that we let slip away. I mean, that's a time where we really and truly could have won a game had we been more focused. I felt like that, of all the tough losses that I've had in my career, I thought the loss at Texas was probably the toughest one I've had.
Jim Grobe with us, former Baylor coach on SicEm365 Radio. Paul?
Coach, how many players from Baylor do you speak with just semi-regularly?
Well, I talked with some of the guys, back when I first left. Some of the guys were talking about transferring. They just felt like they wanted to get a new start. And a couple of players, really good players that called me and wanted my advice. And of course, at that time, all I cared about was the players' well-being. And I encouraged them to stay at Baylor. I told them, I said, there's no better place for you to be. And Matt Rule had a great reputation coming in. I thought Matt was going to do a great job. I think he had a great staff. And some of these guys were kind of star players that, were thinking about leaving. And so, that's the kind of discussions we had. Should I stay? Should I go? All of them ended up staying. I asked all of them, how many friends do you have on the football team? And they were friends with everybody on the football team. I said, well, why would you go start all over again trying to make friends and fit in when you're already fitting? And they were worried about the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. And I promised them that Matt Rule would come in and do a great job, and he did that. And they ended up staying, and I felt really good about that for them and for Baylor. I haven't had a lot of contact with them lately, but most of my guys are gone. I came back, and I've tried to come back every year, and Mac Rhodes has been wonderful to me. Every time I've come back, he's gone overboard to make me feel welcome. And, at that, I saw some kids in the lobby. I stayed at the same hotel the kids were at. And now all those guys have moved on and done other things, so those guys are gone now. But not a lot of contact with the guys right now. I'm always available. I have kids from time to time will call me and they have job opportunities and need recommendations, things like that, and I do that all the time.
Phil Bennett had been talking to Baylor about the head coaching job when there was the transition. He didn't want it because they also wanted him to do some things and may have even asked you to do some things as well. And when Grant Taft called him, apparently Phil Bennett told me he had visited Wake Forest at some point, and I don't know where he was at the time, but he had visited the campus. I believe you might have been there. I don't know, but he kind of loved what he saw. And so when your name was brought up by Grant Taft, what do you think about Jim Grobe? Coach Bennett says his quote was, "He's the guy, he can do it." Did he ever share that with you?
Well, yeah, and Coach Taft shared that with me. And, the thing I felt so bad about was Phil would have been a wonderful guy to be the coach. I mean, he would have been a wonderful hit. He did a great job at SMU, did a wonderful job at SMU. And I thought that I felt bad for Phil because he really and truly, had they named him the head coach, would have done a wonderful job. The problem was he was tied to Art. And had you named one of the assistants, I think the problems would have been multiplied because, now you're trying to support Coach Browse, and everybody says, well, yeah, no wonder you're going to support Coach Browse. You're Art Browse guy. So I felt like it was a situation where Phil would have done a wonderful job. There's nobody I respect more in coaching or as a man than Phil Bennett. But I do think it would have been really tough on Baylor to promote from within when supposedly the problems were with Art Browse and his staff. So I thought that would have been really tough. But I felt so bad because I know Phil Bennett would have done a great job with that football team, probably better than I did. But the environment, it's very similar to me fighting the press all year long. And I shouldn't say fight, but defending the things that I found that were good at Baylor, trying to defend those things on a regular basis. When Mack Rhodes got the job, let me tell you, there's nobody I respect more in athletics than Mack Rhodes. I think he's as good as it gets. And when he came in as the athletic director, I was absolutely sick that I couldn't stay on at Baylor because I thought Mack Brown would be the most wonderful guy to work for. I would have given anything to stay with Mack, but I told Mack, you need a clean slate. I've been defending Baylor for a whole season and trying to stand up for all the good things about Baylor, and it would be best in Baylor's best interest to have somebody come in fresh like Matt Rule. I talked to Matt Rule for a long time before he actually visited and decided to take the job, and I told him, there's not anything that I didn't like about Baylor. And so I was so tickled when Matt took the job, but I felt like that they needed a fresh start. They needed to get everything behind him. And, of course, Matt was able to do that because he came in and had great discipline with the players and great reputation, great respect, and did all the good things. But I couldn't tell you, I can't say anything. I can't speak highly enough about Mack Rhodes and the job that he's done.
You mentioned that you were kind of almost not influenced, but there was a chance that there were maybe some pressure that some of the staff had to go. Was there ever an ultimatum and you just said no?
No, there never was. And I think mainly Smokey, because nobody had come out with any individual coach and said, this guy's violated rules, this guy's circumvented the university, this guy has done things that he shouldn't do. It was never brought up about any coach. And when I went in there, I was very honest in that if I found wrongdoing, those coaches would be gone. Mm-hmm. I had no problems doing that. Honestly, it would have been easier for me to go in and just bring a whole staff with me. I mean, that would have been the easiest thing to do. People that knew me, people that would that I was associated with, that I knew were great coaches and great people. That would have made my job so much easier. But that wouldn't have been better for the players. And I felt like, especially if I was just going to be there to get Baylor through a season, the best thing I could do was go in there and have an open mind, try to take the coaches that had not been accused of wrongdoing, try to take those guys and mold that staff together to help the players. And then if I found wrongdoing, I had no problems making changes. But the whole time I was there, nobody ever accused any individual coach of wrongdoing.
Here's one final quote, Jim, and we can't thank you enough for being a part of it. What he inherited was a bunch of butthurt coaches. He handled it like no other. I will go to my grave what he did for me and what he did for Baylor in the 1 year he was there. And that was about Jim Grobe.
Well, I got to tell you that one of my great experiences in coaching, Smokey, was to be at Baylor and to help those kids and help those coaches, and not only the coaches and the players, but the parents of those kids and Baylor University get through that season. And so as tough as that was, it really probably, I've told Holly this before, but even though we went through a lot of tough times, I don't think I've ever had a more rewarding year in my whole coaching career than the year that I spent at Baylor. It wasn't easy. It was tough. My relationship with Mike Rhodes was fabulous. We immediately connected, and we worked together to get through that season. But it was probably the most rewarding year I've ever spent in coaching. And the people, that J-Mo was great. John Morris helped me through that season with doing the games, and our nights at the barbecue place were really good. He did a great job. My relationship with Mike Sims, our trainer, was fantastic. I mean, I just go through all the wonderful people. Carly Hefner, who was our administrative assistant, that helped get me through. Nick Joes, who went to all the press conferences with me and kind of kept me coached up and all that. But I look back, Holly and I both look back, and I think I've helped a lot of kids and a lot of programs through the years. But probably the most rewarding season that I've ever gone through was, even though it was as tough as it was our year at Baylor.
Jim, I promise you one day I'm going to take you up on that Reynolds plantation. Last year, COVID blew that up. I would love to come visit with you just to say hi and not have to talk about anything else but just life. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
Smokey, appreciate you. Y'all be good.
Thank you. That's Jim Grobe, former Baylor head coach on SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace, just off I-35 in the southern part of Waco, as you take the access road to get to Loop 340 and Highway 6. IdealMRI.com can help save you hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars when it comes to something that needs to be diagnosed through an MRI. In other words, you need to have a picture taken of something that hurts so badly you cannot function. Maybe you can't work, you can't sleep, you can't concentrate because something is torn or badly injured inside your body. If your doctor, whoever it might be, whether it's an orthopedic surgeon or someone else, has told you that you need to get an MRI on a knee because it could be a ligament, on your shoulder because it could be a muscle, on somewhere inside your body that hurts so bad you truly can't function at times, or it just at times comes and goes, it hurts. Ideal MRI is $497 every single time or less, and they'll also help you with your insurance as well. On average, an MRI can cost $1,100. Right then and there, $497 is more than half of that. That's as high as it gets. Ideal MRI with state-of-the-art technology. The techs and specialists and doctors are also elite at what they do. They will take a picture of whatever hurts and then give it to you and also send it to whatever doctor wants a copy because they are great at what they do. Inside the Central Texas marketplace at IdealMRI.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingram with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Alan Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight Sales Event on the new 2021 1500 Ram Lone Star Quad Cab trucks at Alan Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. Going on now, get total values up to $5,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000. Alan Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Quad Cab. The Ram Spotlight Sales Event won't last long. Visit Alan Samuels today or online at alansamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 for all day Saturday and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, the U.S. Open update brought to you by Cottonwood Creek Golf Course with Kenny Duron, the head pro. It's still at the very top. Richard Bland has been in the clubhouse for a while. Louis Oosthuizen, 5 under, 4 under on the course. Russell Henley's at 4 under. Now let's go back down and look at the cut line. Brooks Koepka, by the way, 2 under through 8. He's dropped a shot, I think. He was at 4 under at one point. Now the cut line is now +3. Right now, who would miss that? Jordan Spieth, Matt Kuchar, Jimmy Walker.
Jason.
He's 4 over.
Jason.
1 over through
Kokrak.
Just 4 ahead. Yeah, Kokrak, who's was one of the sleepers that we get heard as well. Plus, Paul's mentioned some of these. Zach Johnson, he was never. Tony Finau, 6 over. He's struggling. He's out. Zalatoris, +7. He's done. And then Victor Hovland is +7. 4 over today, so he's in deep trouble. It's hard to make up strokes at the U.S. Open. And then also at the very bottom, we mentioned Webb Simpson, now 11 over. Wow. So Justin Rose finished 13 over a couple of different rounds. So that's where we are. Mickelson and has kind of made he's right at the cut line. He's 1 under today, 3 over. You knew he would fight, scratch, and claw. Hopefully he doesn't blow up and miss the cut. So those are some of the names. Reed's 3 over. And then we pretty much, I think, given you Dustin Johnson, 2 over, done for the day. These guys are all safe. Justin Thomas, 1 over, 1 under today. He's put himself in position. Colin Morikawa was 4 over. He's birdied 6, 7, and 8 today in his round, and he's put himself back in really good position at 1 under, 1 over par. So Rich Bland right now is 5 under par. I'd never heard much about him, by the way. Now, Arizona Diamondbacks have now lost 20. Remember the Rangers had that terrible road streak? They've now set a modern-day record of 23 consecutive road losses.
That is terrible. That's hard to do. It's hard to be that bad. It's hard to be that bad. Sometimes I think people don't realize how hard it is to be good, but it's really hard to be that kind of bad in baseball. I mean, you have not, in 23 straight games, you haven't caught the starting pitcher on a really bad night where everybody just yokes him all over the yard. Nothing. That hasn't happened to them. They haven't had one of those games where, the defense for the other team commits 4 errors in an inning and they put up a 7 spot. Nope, 23 straight.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad teams. Pirates, Marlins, Cubs, they're all struggling. Rangers stink. But that's a blow your mind type of stat that you've hit the road for games 23 times and have failed to come away with a victory at all. I mean, in a game like baseball, even bad teams, hit their way into a 2-1 win or something like that on occasion. But, man, 23 straight losses is brutal.
The last time they had tied 22 was the Mets in 1963. They were really close to, at that time, almost an expansion team. The Philadelphia Athletics, 22 straight back in 1943. This dates back to 1900.
So the Orioles have lost 8 in a row. They're 22-46. The Pirates have lost 10 in a row. The Diamondbacks have lost 14 games in a row.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they've been outscored 137-60 in those 23 road losses. Woo!
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, Arizona's a 20-win club at this point. I mean, we think the Rangers are bad. They're at 25. But, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's awful. Arizona's awful. Miami's not very good. Washington's – I mean, it's – that East with the Mets and the Phillies, I mean, I think that's going to be a fun division down the stretch. But, yeah, there's some bad baseball teams out there. And it's just hitting the stretch, too. We're not even halfway through the season yet. So can you imagine what some of these are going to be like? I mean, the Rangers, who knows how far under 500 they'll be when all is said and done. They were hovering around 500, bouncing up from 1 to 2 games over to 1 to 2 games under, a month ago? Mm-hmm. A month maybe? And they're now 25-43. I mean, my gosh, they're 15 games back already. They're going to end up like 30 games back by the time it's all said and done.
Smokey, if you could name, let's see, I'm going to go to the Diamondbacks roster.
Don't ask me to name managers.
No, not the manager. I want to see.
Don't ask me to name backup catchers.
Not the backup catcher. I want you to name starters.
I don't know.
I know. Like I'm trying to make a point here. I'm not trying to. If you could name,
but you could tell me the Dodgers that I might get 5.
Yeah, but I mean, could you like? I'm going to throw out names you might have heard of on the Diamondbacks.
There's not a lot of them.
Torey Lovello is a coach, right?
Yeah.
Manager, not coach, manager.
Joakim Soria, have you heard of him?
Yeah, I have. He's a pitcher.
Yeah. Okay.
Played with Kansas City. Wasn't he on the World Series team?
Yeah. Asdrubal Cabrera.
No.
You haven't heard? He's been around.
Cabrera, he played.
Forever.
I know
Indians,
the Cabrera, the Dodgers. I mean the Tigers, but no. I've heard of that name.
That was Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah,
you're thinking of
the big cat. No, that was Gallardo.
That was
one of their better players is Ketel Marte. Ever heard of him? No.
Pittsburgh. Wasn't there a Marte that pitched with the
Starling
Pirates?
Marte. He was an outfielder. Josh Reddick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Played with the Astros, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good player in the Astros. Yeah. Among that star-studded lineup.
But, yeah, that's about all you've heard of there, I would think.
But, you ask somebody who lives in Cincinnati or who lives in, let's say, Denver, ask them to name the Rangers lineup, and they may not even know Joey Gallo.
I'm just saying that it's bad enough then where you can't name who the best player is on a roster. It's probably the same way for the Pirates. It's very much the same way for the Orioles. I mean,
And the Orioles have been bad for like 3 years now, too. They're not even – there's no sign of hope.
But I asked you this earlier in the week. I asked you about, we're looking at the standings. Craig's done a great job of keeping us up to date at times when things just kind of fly by with the Stanley Cup playoffs or what's happening as well with the NBA playoffs as they're trying to get to the finals. The Giants lead the National League West against this super team, the Dodgers, by 2.5 games. They're 19 above 500. They have, right now, I believe the best record in baseball. And so I did this randomly. I screenshot this off my phone of their starting lineup. They have a guy hitting .324, Duggar, the center fielder. Nobody else is hitting above 271, unless this was a Thursday lineup where a couple of guys got a rest day. Yastrzemski, 232, I know his dad. Was his dad or grandfather?
His grandfather.
Okay. But I don't see.
That would have been, he would have been an old father.
No. Okay. So Buster Posey's hitting .337.
All right, he's sad.
Yeah.
I know Brandon Belt played it. He played it.
Evan Longoria is having a bounce back year. So, yeah.
What is his record? What is
He's 2.8. He's hitting .2.8.
They don't have nothing offensively, it looks like to me.
Well, I mean, not that line. That one, I'm looking at the lineup, and that's a lot of Yeah, they're not. That's not the main line.
I looked at the major league leaders and stats and all that, and but they win. It doesn't matter. They have good pitching. They have Gaussman or whatever you called him, who's pitching well. He's got one of the best ERAs. But how are they? They're 19 games above 500.
Well, I mean, batting average is an end-all, be-all, though.
I know.
That's,
I know.
You know, I used to have this argument with another guy that I used to do radio with where he gets so hung up on the batting average, and I'm like, yeah, but look at the OPS, look at the RBI, look at the home run. Like, I mean, I get it. Batting average does tell you a tale, but it doesn't tell you the whole tale.
What's a good slugging percentage, Paul?
I'll tell you. Buster Posey's is 586, and he's having a really good year.
Brandon Belt, the kid from Texas, 507, 593 for, again, is it Duggar, the center fielder? He's a pretty good player, 324. But it's just like they are winning, and, you know,
look.
Wow. Didn't what's his name, Brentley, just retire?
Yeah, you got to look at stuff like OPS WAR. The WAR is big. That's wins above replacement. That means you're good for 2 wins above the guy who would be playing for you. So, they've got their WAR is fantastic. The Giants is.
Phil Mickelson, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Phil Mickelson, after yesterday's round, in which he had to struggle to get within reason to try to make the cut, which he's playing well enough today. It looks like he's going to make the cut, and that's good for the Open. It's good for him, too, coming off the miraculous championship at the PGA Championship. So he backed away on one hole and tried to hit driver off a slight first cut of rough, and he hit it into the bush, and he ended up saving bogey with a great chip and a putt. But Phil Mickelson, after yesterday's round, was, and I'm not saying he was whining, but he was disturbed by all the cameras and all the people taking pictures, and he made a really good point. I just don't understand how hard it is to take that little thing on the left-hand side and push silent. However, this only, and I saw Brandel Chambly, and he made this comment on the Golf Channel last night. I like watching the wrap-up shows as much as the live now. He said it is phenomenal how often and almost for 20 years on every swing what Tiger dealt with.
Yeah.
And how he dealt with it. And sometimes, he'd get his Stevie Williams, whatever. Yeah. But Phil got a little taste of that yesterday that was a little bit different because of what he did at the PGA Championship. And I guarantee you, that's nothing of what, and that's not, I'm not complaining about Phil. He said it's part of golf.
Yeah.
But he got a little bit of that taste.
Yeah. I mean, see, people did it to him. And Tiger, here's the thing, it's not so much for Phil. When Tiger would complain about it, not publicly, but just to the gallery that was there, like, hey, guys, can we just take a second? People would be like, oh, he's being a jerk.
Or Stevie would just go over and hit him with a 3-iron.
Yeah. But, I mean, he would say, like, hey, guys, can we watch it with the cameras for a second?
Yeah.
And then people would be like, oh, Tiger's being a jerk. Like, no, he's trying to play golf. He's trying to do what you paid a ticket to come watch.
Mickelson said this. I did let it get to me. I didn't deal with it very well. Did let it get to me the next 3 or 4 shots thereafter. So it's not like that's the first time. It's just that you had to ask 3 times. It's part of the game. It's professional golf. You have to be able to let that go. I did not let it go and be able to kind of compose myself. He said I should have handled it better. I should have handled it better. One other quick note. Break here.
Yeah.
One other quick note. The U.S. Olympic trials are going on tonight. Will London, Howard Fields, Lauren Paquette, and Alex Matlock are all going through Olympic trials this evening in Eugene, Oregon from Baylor. This is SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Still want to say hi to AJ. Hope you're doing okay, my man. Your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels. Certified by J.B. Power again this year as the winner of the Customer First Award for Excellence. Ram Truck, 3-peat, Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Back to back to back. Top safety pick for trucks named in 2021. They've had all of this come their way because they've earned it because of their product and customer service. And right now, the spotlight on the 2021 new Ram 1500 Quad Cab, the Lone Star, with $5,250 or 0% for 72 months for $1,000 bonus cash, impressive towing, and the most comfortable ride of any truck. And there's the Jeep Freedom Days. And there's the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid and the Minivan Month. The 2021 Chrysler 300, that's a good-looking car. Value's up to $5,250, 0% for 84 months. Or the 2021 Dodge Charger GT, that can get up and go, $4,250 or 0% for 72 months. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Check out slapstickscomedy.com. The place is almost open. Food and laughter. They're going to have that. Movie characters you don't want to fight. Top 5. All right, number 5. I want you guys' input on this, because I know there's a number 5, Bruce Lee in any movie he was in.
Yeah, I'd say so. We could probably put him at number 1.
Yeah. But no, some of these other guys, like I want to start with Bruce Lee. Any movie he was in. Number 4, Maximus.
Is that a real person?
I don't know if he was real or not. I mean,
No, I don't
there
think
was
he was.
there were real people in Gladiator, like based on like historical characters, but You don't want to fight Maximus.
Man, I tell you what, that was a hell of a time to live, huh?
Yeah. You just like, you could die. You could die by getting eaten by a tiger in front of people.
Yes.
Like that was the thing. Like first
Can
they
you
and they
imagine
would clap.
social media today if that was, in fact, we should bring that back.
Yeah. Number 3, James Bond. We had a debate on which James Bond we should pick for this. I picked Connery.
Yeah, that's the one you have to do.
But Daniel Craig also, I probably wouldn't want to fight him least of all the James Bonds, but he's more rough
They
and
all
tumble.
would kill you.
Yeah. I'm not that scared of Timothy Dalton, to be honest with you, but you don't want to fight James Bond. He's got gadgets.
The new Daniel Craig movies are really good. I prefer them to the old 70s stuff just because that's outdated now at this point. I'm not opposed to older movies, but I like the newer stuff better most of the time, and I do like Daniel Craig as Bond, so I've enjoyed those a lot.
Yeah. Number 2, Jason Bourne.
Yeah, no, that you lose.
Here's why you don't want to fight Jason Bourne, other than the other stuff, is he's constantly remembering things that he knows how to do. So you could be in a fight with him and be winning, and then all of a sudden you hit him, and he remembers something from his past, and that's what ends you.
I could watch, and Craig, I think you know this, and I could pick up how many there have been, especially the one with Matt Damon, right? I could pick it up and the other guy, the middle of the movie, and not stop watching it.
Yeah.
Along with who's going to be number 1.
Yeah. You know it. So it's John Wick.
Yes.
Here's the deal. John Wick somehow knows how to use every weapon. He knows how to use anything to fight you.
That has become one of my go-to if it pops up on the television.
Also, wearing a suit every time.
Yeah,
he's always wearing a suit.
Where did he get the limp? Did he lose a fight we don't know about, or is that his actual true life limp?
What are you talking about?
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, he seems like he walks with a limp.
After he's been shot 10 times, that's the only time I've seen him walk with a limp.
I see it. It seems like every time I see one of those John
And
McWhorter, he has been shot.
And now, like he's down a finger now.
Yeah.
What about the guy in The Taken?
Oh, Liam Neeson?
Yeah, and all the other movies that are basically just taken but reworded that he did, like in the span of 3 years, where he just did the same movie over and over again.
One's on a train, one's in it. Like now he's doing one where he's like a truck driver.
And like how the Taken thing is so dumb to me, because it's like, how does your daughter keep finding herself in these situations over and over again where she's being kidnapped or the friend's being like,
she's naive.
I don't know. It's just kind of a silly premise, like after the first one to me. But I don't know. Maybe I just need to watch them and understand better. Yeah, but I would take Bourne over and John Wick as my top 2.
That's what. Yeah,
who would win between? You're saying that Wick would beat Bourne?
Yes.
I think Wick would beat Bourne. Here's the thing, because Bourne is a good guy by nature. John Wick is a good guy later in life. Like he was a bad guy first, and now he's the protagonist. But he's not really. John Wick's not really a good guy.
Not really.
You know.
I have feelings for him.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But
those movies have become. I can't stop watching them even if it's 3 minutes left in the movie. I got to watch it, and I've seen them all. I think I have. Is there a John Wick, Craig, 4 or 5 coming out? Or
they're
whatever?
casting for it now. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. All right, so why not Dr. Spock?
The pregnancy guy or Mr. Spock? Mr. Spock.
He could kill you. Like
Dr. Spock was the pregnancy guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Spock. He wasn't so much. He would just pinch you.
Are we missing one, Jack? Is there one we're missing, Craig? Is there one we're missing? 254-339-1122. We're wrapping up the show to end up the week as well. Is there someone we're not giving enough credit to?
I probably would have put Jason Bourne number 1, but
yeah. TJ says Chuck Norris.
Oh, Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think. Those would have been the ones I would have had too. Chuck Norris. I don't know. Did he have a recurring character like John Wick or Jason Bourne, or was it just a bunch of different characters? So I mean, going with just the one character. I mean, it was pretty much.
He had some sequels. I just can't remember what they were. I mean, like, I can't name. Like, honestly, I can't. Other than Walker, Texas Ranger, and I know every movie.
What about the woman in Game of Thrones?
Khaleesi?
The one who just like...
She has dragons.
The one with the dragon.
She has dragons.
Okay.
It's
kind of like riding a horse.
You'd fight Khaleesi if there were no dragons.
Yeah, no.
And based on how stupid she was in the ending, she's totally not formidable at all without dragons. So, that was another character of all the characters they ruined in that show at the very end. Trying to go do that that really important Star Wars movie that they just had to get to. So, let's just totally botch this all-time all-time classic, legendary television show. Let's ruin it at the very freaking end because we got to hurry up and go write the 20 billionth Star Wars movie that will just be lumped in with all the other Star Wars movies.
And
like that pisses me off that they did that, dude. It really does.
Guess what, Craig? Guess what the
More
release
so
date?
than the Power Grid?
Guess what?
I almost died, so no.
Guess what the release date is for that Star Wars movie from those guys?
2026.
To be determined. Never.
No, never. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, so they ruined. Because you can't even go back and watch it now. You can't go back and watch it because you already know how it ends. And if you haven't watched it, don't do it, because as much as you'll enjoy it for like 5 seasons, you'll be ticked at the end. And you'll be like, why did I do that? And the fact that that's how, like, people, including myself, were so hardcore about that show. Like, loved that show. And they just ruined it. They ruined it at the end. And I just can't ever forgive those guys for that. That was just to do it for a project they're not even doing now. Like, how stupid are those guys to not know that at the time you had this golden goose in your hands and all you had to do was just write like 2 more good episodes. That's all you had to do. But they couldn't even do that, and now it's not even a thing now. Like, nobody talks about Game of Thrones anymore. Nobody gets into it, so yeah, it's a big screw up.
They're going to do these prequels, and I'm not going to watch the prequels because I know eventually 1,000 years from then,
stupid ending.
That's how it's going to end.
Okay, y'all, it's been a good week.
How come Tony
we can
Soprano
make a podcast out of this?
Yeah, I know.
So,
all right, thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Kaden, Sic'Em365, thank you. The Baylor commit from the Woodlands. Grayson, Grundhoefer, Chuck Cooperstein, Marlin's Ruben, Torres, Jim Grobe from earlier this week, and also Paul's top 5 at 5:55 for Emma, Jack McKenzie, also as well for Hayden. I think Armstrong might come back looking like a lobster from his time at Sims Beach. I'm not sure. Jack, you're still here next week, except when? You're gone on next week? Friday. All right. For Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak, thank you to all our great sponsors. Thank you for watching or viewing, watching, and listening. I'm David Smoak. Good night. Have a great weekend on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.